Okay, I managed to not beat time, but make a good compromise with it. So I am right on time.
A good
Shoot,
compromise with it.
juice.
So
Sorry.
I am right.
Okay, no, no, not that. That just came out. Yeah, no, 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 nothing intended. Anyway, as always, we start with a prayer to the ancestors. That's what happens when you don't start with the prayer. So, a prayer to have a good conversation, to share knowledge and information, and to receive the same. Okay, let's begin. So, just as a caveat, I did have an idea in mind, still inchoate, but it has not been fully developed, and it will be soon. Eventually, it took a long time to get it together, and then so I'll call this rename it the intro rather than the actual one. So yeah, so I am admitting my lack of preparation and my next of preparation. Um, so what are we talking today? About music, about magic, and this discussion about music, it came about also in terms of the deprogramming series, because we have talked about some of the ways that are used to manipulate people, to get people to have a sort of um, uh, one-minded mentality. And so one of the common ways that you find amongst nearly all of the of the groups that practice this mind mentality is the use of music. And we have not really looked at the overall effect of the music that we have listened to for all this time, because what is the point of music? um, Music is supposed to talk about the happiness, they express the apparent soul of the people. So when you look at the current state of music, what does it express of people in general? And I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to two of the music, but the first one was 80 aliens with and this is what happened at that time. I don't know what happened with southern music. They just became a little bit very out there. There was a lot of references to spaceships, to out of this world experiences and so on. And I know, yes, I know ATL is the ATL, which is Atlanta, but it's also a play on the word alien. So it's still just a weird thing for them to go off into. And it wasn't just them, because there was also, and I've looked for this song. It's called Hypnotized by, I think it was Lil Kiki. Yeah, Kiki. I think I'm pronouncing him right, but it was this song that was called Hypnotized, and it really was hypnotic. Like, it had this very weird beat about it that when you listen to it for quite some time, you just put it on repeat, and then anyway, so those this, and I like to listen to song lyrics. That's the other thing. So when you listen to lyrics, sometimes they do get a little bit interesting, to say the least. And in terms of music has been used for all kinds of things, social purposes and all this stuff. But sometimes I think what turned me not off, but what was not so interesting to me about most of, let me say, African music, while I did enjoy it, it was still, how do you say it? It was too happy for my taste, too happy and rich for my taste. It was, a lot of it was, talking about, well, there was still a variety. I won't say that. There was still people talking about, doing things and working hard and all kinds of things. But especially just popular, what they call popular music, just all this happiness, love, and this emotional stuff. Well, yeah, emotions are good and all that stuff, but is that all that we are? Just a bunch of emotions, just like hormonal running up and down with all kinds of things, like, and there are other things that we can sing about. And so for me, it was simply like, no, this is not realistic, this is not what we are. If we are in a condition that is not, the best, if we're not in a place where, if somebody looked at us and said, oh, we're suffering, but we're so happy, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. How we're the most, downtrodden and all this, and yet when you go to all these places, you have dancing children and dancing men and women and all this stuff. Like, don't you know what's coming? Am I like the doomsday professor or something? Cassandra. Cassandra is the, what do I know about Outcast? Wow, a forecast. Okay, I have to check her. What do I know about? Yeah, of course I know about Outcast. I know about, I can't say, let me not even pretend to. I know some of their songs. I know some of their songs were really good, and they're a very diverse group. They're like, and I hate to say this because, he turned all way. This is why for me, you're supposed to just like people up to a certain point. After that, just forget about them, don't know anything about them, just blissful ignorance. But anyway, CeeLo was also one of those very, interesting, just all over the place guy. I was listening to his song today, that whole run, girl, run away, run, children, run for your lives. And that was a very, it was almost like a gospel song, but it was, what can, what, did you listen to the lyrics? Okay. Okay, so Bwana Haguziki, let me tell you why I put this. This is, maybe you can explain to me. Let's have a conversation, and then next week I'm going to present all my materials and do a nice presentation. Well, I'll put things up. But today, time got on me, so I could either be late or I could be prepared. So I'm late. So yeah, there was this one song. Yeah, CeeLo is quite a hard pill to swallow. He has this one song where he did do this very crazy lights just going off and off and off. But what's interesting about music, and the whole point of magic is the distraction aspect of it. Because first of all, there's this okay, just going off, just completely off base. There's this King of the Hill episode where this magician came into town and then he did this magic trick, and Hank, Peggy was in on it, but Hank didn't know what was going on. So he begged and begged Peggy to tell him the secret, and she wouldn't tell him. I can't remember how it ended, but in any case, the whole trick of magic is, that obviously a dove cannot come out of a hat. Yeah, or is it a rabbit? Yeah, that the rules of nature and physics cannot really be, violated, but you see with your eyes that they are. So you have to think, at what point were you, the only thing that you can say is that you might have been distracted and you did see something while you're looking at something else, because that is a main trick of magicians. And I'd also recommend the movie, the Prestige, I think it was 1 and 2, where they did all this magic and these all contraptions and not sure what happened and so on. So music is a way to sort of lull and dull your senses. It's a way to get people to lower their guard, to think or not think, or to distract them from thinking about things. Now, I'm not sure about the whole history of Motown and so on, but that time was a time of turmoil for a lot of people, and it was also that time of love songs and all this wonderful feel goodery and so on and so forth. So one has to also look at the effect that music has on people. It's usually one of swaying people or getting them to act a certain way, and to go against, not to go against, but to focus on one thing. But it's not just like the news. The news is not there to talk about boring things that happen. They want to sensationalize everything. So just like with music, it will make the best of what will sell. Oh, okay. Let me see. Okay, let me go ahead and and read the comments. Okay, Jose, hi. Yes, this was the pre-broadcast chat. Jose was in the chat earlier. He said he hopes he didn't fall asleep. I think he might have. So, Jose, if you listen later, yes, you're missed. Yes, so yeah, you can join in whenever you want. If you do get up a bit late, that will be quite all right. I'll be interested to know, because I'm not in the music business. I simply just, this is an amateur introduction to it. So it will be more of a conversation than a presentation. The presentation will be next week when we get stuff together. So yes, Kokou it was here next, hopefully still here at Beta Medicine Focus. Yes, and before I forget, I always do. So I am part of the KWA Z, for the Americans, and Z for the rest of the English speakers. Yes, network, which includes everyone in here. I'm just saying that before I forget, because I will get off topic very quickly. But yes, look at the other people on the network. The focus is here. I see. Yeah, Bonaguziki, you should also, hey, I'm not saying, but you should also start something. And of course, Jose and Gastimov on the Black Pentagrammers, and SNN from time to time. Yes. So Njogu Focus. Oh, my nemesis is here. We were friends last week on Shoot the Breeze. And now we are on opposite sides again. I knew it wouldn't last long. I knew that ceasefire was going to be broken by, the Haitians. That's what the Haitians do. They win, and then as soon as they win, they just give it all up. So hey, I can't blame it. They're your friends today, and then the next day, all of a sudden, I'm an American. Amani, Dada, Ravitan. Good to have you. Good to have you. Hold on. I have to say, this is why it's good to have somebody on board, so I can type while I write. But Amani, to all of you. and good to have you here. Sometimes I do prepare, and sometimes hey, things happen, and especially time. So I'm glad you. What's the wow for? What is the wow for, Ezuli? Wow. No wow to you. um oh, what kind of noise is this? What kind of noise is that? Okay, so let me get back to what I was talking about earlier, right? So all this, we have all seen movies, right? And what are movies? Most of them are what? They're mostly made by white people, starring white people. In fact, when you do get a few of the movies where all the cast is black, like that is such a wow, they're all black, like whoa, that's such a shocking thing. But nobody bats an eye when you have an all white cast. Like that just happens so much that it's not even a thing. Like yeah, so we used to sing other people in on the big and small screens. And so when you look at what they produce, this is what they're made of. What kind of noise is this? What kind of movies? You've watched their movies, this is what I don't understand about, black people. Oh, I cannot stand that white music. It's so terrible. That white music, like, oh, it's so boring. Oh, classical, country, country, classical. Like, first of all, you can sit through. That song is only 5 minutes long, right? But you can sit through. What was the last movie where you watched? There was action, there was drama, there was something, going on and all of that stuff. Was it starting? Yeah, unless you can tell me you watch like 4 or 5 movies a year if you're just going to watch all black movies, but you're going to watch mostly white movies, So, but 5 minutes of music, what's the difference between 5 minutes of music and 2 hours of movies, And then when you tell people, oh, I don't like to watch movies, you're like, oh, you don't like movies? You don't like movies? You don't like Star Wars? Like, why would I sit for 2 hours just watching them do whatever it is that they do, Yeah, maybe if I have nothing better to do, and so on. But them sitting there and telling their stories, like, you'd sit there, and not only that. Oh, I don't listen to classical music. Do you know what movie music is? Movie music is basically just watered down classical music. It's what's his name? John, very weird name. No, very simple name. I think John Towers, something like that. I'll have to look it up. But he writes like most of the movies, music in the movies. So you're willing to sit through that and listen to people, talk about the white lies, but you can't stand for 5 minutes of music. That's why, anyway, I wouldn't say anything. But when it comes to, the truth, you won't, huh? Williams? Who's Williams? Oh, John Williams. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, John Williams. Yeah, he writes like all the music in that script, and you sit back and listen to it. And here's the more, what I don't understand. Movies is not just taking one of your senses. See, music is just your ears. That's all. And your maybe your the lyrics if you want. But it's just your ears. You're not really listening to the lyrics most of the time unless you want to. But a movie, a 2-hour movie, takes both your eyes, your vision, your sound, basically all your attention. That's why movies have to be seen in a closed environment. You can listen to music everywhere, but movies, you have to go put everything down. Everything is other distractions are put for. Even if you're trying to watch nowadays, I know people watch movies when they're looking at their screens. But if you really want to get into a film and look into it, you're going to have to put one of your screens down and actually pay attention. So that's what it is. Movies make you pay more attention than music. Music, you actually have a chance to analyze, to listen and actually take in what somebody is saying. So what did he say? What kind of beast am I? Beast am I? So you're looking at it as simply noise, but this is it's actually a whole confession. This is somebody simply telling you who they are. There's no quicker way to get to the truth of things, like, how are they, even in Europe, and I haven't read the book, I confess, but that's what she was trying to say, like, this is who they are. And when they tell you who they are, we simply either dismiss it or look at it as, well, that's just them. I wouldn't put that. You sometimes it is good to study, not so much as a way to to get. You still have to remember who you are, but if they can come in and firstly, if they can come in and settle amongst us and still not lose who they are, why are we so afraid to go into their territory and actually look into what they say? If you're the whole thing about knowing yourself, it also takes in, it's also about knowing your enemy, knowing your and 1,000 battles, blah blah blah. But that's what it is. You cannot study just yourself. You cannot simply know yourself. You also have to know the other. Like and I'm not recommending it. It's not something that you have to go listen to the music in order to go out there. It's just that sometimes when they do say who they are, people don't believe them. You can tell somebody like, yeah, and this is the funny thing about white people. They don't say who they are in their religion. Religion, like I said, is an a-racial, like an asexual. So it's an a-racial religion where they don't really mention it and only in passing. So everybody is welcome. So, the same thing, with a lot of it's said their writings, even when you look at the writings of the founding countries, there's nothing explicitly, racial in those things. They're not saying, oh, we hate this goddamn this and that. They just say it in such polite terms that it just slips by most people, but they practice it in such brutal terms that it shocks you that this very apparently civilized writing people can at the same time practice such deceptive and cruel ways. So it's like this contradiction where they are at once organized and chaotic, they're at once civilized and savage, and we can't understand that whole conundrum where we can see the organization, but sometimes we can't really see that. And I think music is one of the few ways that you can actually get to the essence of who they are and what they say they are, because in movies it's where they portray themselves to be the best of who they are. It's where they put their heroes, their gods, their marvels, their so and so. But in the music, they hide it under this brutality and under this anger and blah blah. Oh no, and don't want to listen to this stuff. It's terrible stuff. But when you look at it and when you analyze this, then it explains it not just their psychology, but also a lot of their philosophy. So oh yeah. Okay, see, I was gone there for a while. Yes, peace, 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 melanated goddess. Good to have you. Good to have you in the house. I'm glad you joined us as well. So thank you. Excuse me while I say hello. So yeah, good to have you in the house. And so that's one aspect of of that mental manipulation where if you want to hide something from black folks, you put it in books, but you also put it in music. Not that we need to, like I said, to do all of that stuff. Not that anybody needs to know their philosophy in order to understand their brutality, but in the aspect of taking a full perspective, this is also one of those aspects that you have to contend with. Oh, sorry, have I not put the link already? Oh yes, let me do that. Like I said, today is going to be just a jazzy session where we'll just go off. I'll just say things in a random manner. You take what you take from it, but it's not going to be like all organized and stuff. When anyway. So let's continue. So I'm not. It's not an advocation for for that music. No, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it as well. It's not just a research review. It is a research review as well, because there are so many aspects to it. So many aspects to it. It's this way. They come and study us. They know the differences between this and that person, and who is. They even have categories for us. Who's Bantu, who's Nilot, who's this and that, and so on. Why have we not done the same? It's not the spook at the door level, but we should not be afraid to also delve into that level of madness. If you're truly sane, you should not be afraid of madness, and a lot of that is madness. Yeah, that's a lot of noise. Bwana Haguziki, of course it's noise. It's something that you simply. But let me also tell you this, that at the end of the noise, then you finally understand why we have we are still almost the way that we are, because we have not matched the level of you know, ferocity. I would say that sometimes I almost shudder at our, you know, yeah, do we really know what we're dealing with? And if we did, are we ready to confront it? Sometimes that's what I wonder, because we're still talking about, oh, don't, do this and that, and just surface level things. And not only do they, practice this very, vengeful attitude, they also have a lot of, you know other they're philosophers in music. Musicians are not just these people who make beats, to some words. They're really people who sit down and think, and then put that into some kind of sensible way. Which for me, and some people might argue, I like the organized stuff. And it sounds like madness, but once you listen to it a couple of times, it will start to make sense. Um, oh, I enjoy the Black Sacrifice homicidal music. Um, hmm, how do I say this? Do you enjoy horror movies, Bwana Haguziki, or anybody? Does anybody enjoy horror movies? I'm just asking. If you do, say yes. Oh no, but yeah. If you do, let's say you've watched a horror movie one time and you found it, interesting enough, and you can go watch another horror movie. I don't know all the horror movies. I would say Friday. Oh, you know what? I would think that the only horror movie I enjoyed, although I don't enjoy being scared, I don't like horror movies in that way, was Friday the 13th. That was a pretty good horror movie. But all the rest of the horror movies to me are terrible. So, in the same way that somebody might enjoy that, it's not enjoying it like, oh, ugh, Wanahaguziki, Bounty Killer, Vibes Cartel, and we can tell me if we're not on that level. But why is it that, if we all humans and white people, why is it that we cannot enjoy their music? Why is it that, black people are so resistant to, to white music, whereas white people, even if they don't like us, they have, certainly taken to our music. Why is it that we cannot take to theirs, or embrace it as much? So that's one thing you have to remember. Yeah, you can listen to Bounty Killer and Bounty Killer. Vibes Cartel, isn't he the one who is in jail right now? And you can tell me if we are not on that level. On what level? What is that level that you're talking about? you know what is the level that you're talking about? And so in terms of music is used as a distraction, either to make people feel good, or it's done to make people feel bad enough to enjoy their misery. So I think for me, there was a time when music was simply an escapist thing, where it was all, because I don't know how many love songs there are, I know, right now. But I don't think that we are in that era where people talk about the wonderful and angelic love that they have for each other, and so on. So even the concept of love in music, not in real life, is slowly getting eroded. And the concept of feelings has really been overtaken by something different. So it started with love as a distraction, and then now it's this kind of materialistic hedonism as a distraction. And people think that music is this just an entertainment, or something that people use for when they're not yeah, just a casual indulgence. But it's not a necessary thing, really. Entertainment is not a necessary thing. You don't see other animals needing as much entertainment as human beings, but for some reason we have decided that it's a necessary aspect of our being. So that's what it is. But music has become this avenue of simply, showing showing off, or having. It's almost like a popcorn thing where it comes and goes. It is very ephemeral. So, when it comes to love used to be like, oh, this thing that you get, it is wonderful and it's for eternity. But now it's like something that you get for a while, and then it turns into something sour. So whether it's distraction or distraction, it always causes distraction. And the feel goodery part was okay, but now it's almost this how do you say it, the anarchy. Yeah, whereas it's almost like, let it all just burn down, like the Chinese was saying, by lie. um oh, okay, yeah, yeah, sure, you can do that. But Bwana Haguziki, where is our blood sacrifice homicidal music? You know, where is that music that we also need to? We're talking about sacrifice. Where is our blood sacrifice music? We have just self destruction music. We have music that just talks about either self destruction or just self negation. Just this very apathetic look at life. So what are, oh, my goodness, these people found me fight. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, man. I thought, we were hiding under the radar and so on. So I guess the bots, finally, man. Anyway, so yes, peace and powers by electric. Did I not greet you properly? Yeah, sorry. It's hard to do both at the same time. Yeah. So the magic that comes with our music is that magic that lulls us into either hyperactivity or under activity. You can either control somebody by, oh, no, it's not a saying, I'm just going to make it up, but with honey or with honey or vinegar. Yes. So with honey is the whole you know the whole illusions and distractions and so on. The magician putting something up his sleeve, and while his lovely assistant is talking to you, and or doing the things or whatever, he's removing something from his sleeve. So that's why people say that whole up, what's up your sleeve. Yeah, there's a saying with that, something up your sleeve or something. So that's the distraction. That's the whole trick to it, that music distracts you. It makes you look at the magic, what they're saying, instead of what is. So it can be something beautiful, it can be something wonderful, like what, love, or beauty, or all these things, while somebody at the same time is taking something from you, or putting something, yeah. So that's the whole trickery of that feel good music. At the same time, you can also have that whole negative aspect, where it's just violence and something that is scary, and that is also distracting from what is really happening. So the effect of music in and manipulating, and even this whole idea of pop music, popular music is something that is created. It's not something that popular amongst the people. It is something that is made popular amongst the people. So it is already created by people who have done multiple studies. There's even somebody who did like a breakdown of all the music, all the popular music in the last 10 years, and they turned out to have very, very similar beats or patterns about them. And so it's almost like it's like a art and a science and predictability and probability. They've gotten that down. Like, if somebody wants to create it, they can create it. And the whole music industry system is not so much that, oh, somebody has talent and you go up to the front. It's things are created in a very intricate way. So very few things are just left to chance. So oh, I'm sorry. So you always have this think that, oh, something is popular, but it's, the opposite. It's like that whole 1984, where they have a department that actually creates music for the populace, and this lady, Winston, well, no, not Winston, that's 1984 guy. Yeah, so he's working and he's hearing this lady sing this song and so on, and that was a song that was created in the department already. So they create these songs for the for the people to listen to make them stay passive in their states. And at every level you have these distractions, whether it's from the people at the bottom and the people at the top. For the people at the top, they're given some kinds of minor privileges. They're given an extra box of cigars, or probably a larger apartment. They don't have to live in these hovels, and they basically live a better life. So everybody is paid off to some extent to accept the system as is. So even if there are certain things that people will complain about or feel is not up to par, they're still given small small things to make them feel good about it, small trinkets to keep them in the system. So, oh, habari Nzola. Good to have you as well. So yeah, and definitely, and sorry today if I am not as good as on the comments. I hope I got everybody. No, yeah, so you can enjoy something. And this is the whole thing. Let me get back to what Bwana Haguzik was saying. When they say that being something, it's being able to entertain thought. Intelligence is being able to entertain thoughts without being you see, I guess I'm not so that intelligent after all, but it's basically being able to take in all the different aspects of a certain question or a certain issue. And you can make your mind up. You can listen to it and not be overly influenced by any one thing. If you go in, you can listen to all sides and say, well, but also having a limit. There's some things that are just beyond the range of reason. But in any case, you can entertain something without it threatening your point of view or your idea of what is good and proper. So something that can be regarded as noise, if you do listen to it, you can find some value in it. I'm not saying that it's wonderful and great, but there is some things to take from it, like sacrifice. Okay, so Bounty Killer and Mousikcă. Okay, on that note, I do know the general aspect of that kind of music. I don't say that I'm an expert, or okay, well, I guess not. Bwana Haguriki, Dada says that Bounty Killer and mousikcă be selling out, them seem swallowing with them. Yeah, so hey, your argument just got killed. Yes, and this is why, for me, if I have to watch a movie, I prefer to be just an all white movie. Because here's the thing: if I know that there's going to be a black person there, even with and Nzola is going to talk about it tomorrow, so let's definitely be there for that one. Even when it's all black people, I'm just like, okay, what kind of nonsense are they going to put there? Like, I'm not going to enjoy this because now I'm on my guard. Now I'm just, anytime they appear, I'm analyzing the scene. Like, what are they going to make this person do? To just embarrass the hell out of us. Like, there's always something behind the scenes, and some sly message being sent, and it's just going to be like, so if I'm going to take something, because movies are supposed to be escapism, it's supposed to be something that you put your mind to the side, and you just take in whatever they tell you suspend. That's why they said you suspend your judgment. With music actually makes you actually put on your judgment's hat. You listen to the beat, you have a chance to think, and you listen to the words, you look at what they're saying. So with music, I would say, is more interactive than movies is just listening to somebody else's story and their view of the world. Do you think that after watching several of those Superman movies, you're going to come out with a better or a not so great perspective of people who look like that? Hey, after some time, you just like. But if you listen to a beast am I, what kind of perspective are you going to come out from that? It's what you listen to. It's how they tell the story. And for me, I'd rather listen to the people who tell the true story about themselves than the ones who quote it with all this heroic stuff. When they're fighting those superhero movies, they're actually destroying towns and cities galore for whatever stuff they're fighting for. Whether they're good or evil, they're both causing destruction to millions and millions of people. But nobody's thinking of that. Anyway, so it's this whole you have to look at things from a certain perspective. If you're going to look at Urugu, you have to look at them from everything, from this perspective on on life, from their perspective on music, from how they create the music, and also how it affects us as well. We're not exempt from that whole mystery and manipulation. A lot of our music has also been influenced by their ideas. And it's not that we didn't sing about love and all these things, but a lot of that music industry is also controlled by by certain groups. So what do you think that is the effect on people? Even if we're seeing the faces, the faces behind that, just like in in those sports teams, the real people behind the scenes, the ones who are profiting from it, are not people who look like in the music industry. Maybe there are some, I'm not saying that there are not some moguls. I'm sure that you have your people who have learned enough to take as part of that aspect of the deal. But primarily and overwhelmingly, it's not controlled by by black people. Because if it was, it wouldn't just be the constant and just it almost follows like a guideline, like, okay, this is what you have to say. You have to create a one song for for the ladies, one song for my I won't say the N word. Then you have to create one for the club. You have to go to make one about going to find your opponents on the other side of the street. Just the typical stuff. There's very little that changes from time to time, and the formula has, even when it grows old, it's still keeping up to it. Like even the oh yes, and of course you can't forget using a whole ton of drugs. Don't forget that one. So it's the whole formula over and over again, and once you see it, you're like, why do people even still listen to this kind of music? And that's another thing about programming has to be repetitive. It doesn't just happen one way, or and then it's done. It's not just something that is done, okay, now you program. It's something that takes time. It's something that takes repetition, takes training. And so people are not going to just take it one time. You have to keep that program. You have to have gangster rap every 2.0, 3.0, and it has to get worse, because under the system things do not get better. They have to either progressively decay, or progressively accumulate. So until eventually it just I don't know what it's going to turn into, but it coils around itself. So music is used for shaping our societies, and especially now that we associate music with some sort of influence. It's not every society actually that venerates its not venerates. Every society venerates musicians, but how do I say it? Enriches. Yes. In fact, for a lot of societies, being a musician was almost like a like a death curse, because there was no making a living out of it. It was not like, farming. It was not like being a blacksmith. It was not like, it was almost like a frivolous thing that somebody would do. Not that music was not appreciated, but being looked at as a form of making a living is not always, the same. So for some people, it was respected as a talent, but not necessarily, lionized as it is. So even the whole idea of singing and all that, and singing was also usually a communal. Yes, there were good singers, but singing was usually a communal affair where people came together and sang. So it was not just one person who was singing. It was a group of people who were singing, which has actually, yeah, changed the whole even practice of music, because nowadays music is more seen as a, somebody see up there, or a band of, maybe 4 or 5 people. Ah, thank you. Yona B is in the house. Good to have you. Good to have you. Um, yes. So we were saying, oh, Bounce Killer, yeah, Swallows, yes. Habari, good to have you. Yeah, and sometimes that's why I need somebody to bounce ideas off, because I could just go off, on my old linguistic meandering journey, and I wouldn't even know to come back once in a while. So yes. Yes, hello. Yes, Azul is in the house. Today, I hope you come in peace, but hey, we don't know. All of them Jamaican. Yeah, see, yeah. These Jamaicans, look, we used to say, you know, those dreadlocks is like, yeah, we know what they mean. Behind those dreadlocks, it's some some blondie back there. So hey, yeah. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We know them too. You think you're the only ones who know. We know too. We know about these Jamaicans and some of the Caribbeans. Banner Boy talking about Igbo and Shiloh. Guess what it means? No, what does that mean? Banner Boy talking about Igbo and Shiloh. Shiloh. Guess what that means? What's Igbo and I know Igbo, but what's Shiloh? Okay, Zuli. But how come the good music don't spread? Why do the majority want to hear the slackness? Because majority people slack. That's why. You think that they create that music because people are just, wonderful and great. People want easy music. They want music that they can, jam to, you know. Um, so yeah, that's what people um want. They just, some slack people. And look, they used to have, and just very patient, they used to have this music. Who can listen to an 11-minute piece of music? I'm just asking you, who can listen to a 20-minute piece of music? No, they even standardized the time for music, and music is only, usually about 3.5 minutes, because they figure that was the longest time that people can pay attention to and listen to popular music. So this whole thing, they have studied even the people, the masses, and they know exactly how to give them. It's like that scene from what was that cartoon called? Shoot, Wally. Yes, Wally. When you have these fat humans who are sitting around on some sort of pod, and they're just being fed by robots. Robots are not necessarily, robots can go, well, they don't exist, obviously. This is just some hypothetical nonsense. But, if robots came about, they could go either of two ways of, controlling us, if they did gain consciousness, which of course they are not going to, let's pray. But if they did, they could either take by just utterly destroying us, but at the same time, they would need us to do biological work, just like they need we need them to do technological and those aspects of manual work that we don't want to do as humans. They will also need us to do those biological aspects of work that they can't do as machines. So if they did that, they would either have to, put us under some kind of, matrix like slavery, or they could put us under that sort of, wall-e like, indulgent, not slavery, but complacence. There we go. So you could have the humans just sitting around being happy, not happy, but being comfortable. Yes, being comfortable. They're fed, they're giving everything they need, and they never have to do anything except, what the robots are programmed them to do. So in any case, okay, that was another another aside. Oh, the good music. Yeah, the good music. Nobody wants the good music. Yeah, people just want, slackness is promoted more and patronized more. Financially support good music if that's what you want. Yeah, that would be nice if we financially plus, but it would either be local, but then if it's local, it's not really financially viable. But then if it's bigger than that, then they will almost have to compromise in some way. I think, I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that in terms of, and that's the other thing about propaganda and manipulation through media, and music is just one aspect of it, but it's something that is almost in the air. It's not something that you can, if you do it on yourself, by yourself, you can create your own enclave of your own personal Zion. But the whole point why propaganda and manipulation works is because it's done on a large scale. It's that clear channel radio that is everywhere, up and down the country. Like there's nowhere you can go that you listen, you leave one state and you go to another, and you're basically just listening to the same stuff. Like, and that's one of the things that just basically killed radio, because they were trying to standardize the whole listening experience, and so it gave rise to those other stations like Sirius and all the Sirius, yeah, all these other rogue stations. But unfortunately, I think you had to pay for them. So, and people don't want to pay. Look at you know phew, although it's very annoying right now, like Wikipedia right now, they've been giving us those messages for how long? How many people are really going to pay for that stuff? Like, hey, if something is free, I want it for free. And we're willing to give up, like, even all this stuff that we complain about, that they're taking our data, they're taking our jobs, they're taking our data. We gave them that stuff. We just realize it's just easier to let them have it. What are they going to do with it anyway, sort of thing. So we gave away a lot of our stuff out of convenience, just how things were and so on. So that's what we did as a people. I'm not just even saying like a black people, but as people in general. So yeah, it's promoted. As well as saying, what I'm saying is that we can't blame the white or just people when we participate. Yeah, no. At this point, I'm not blaming them. I'm actually saying that we are very complicit in our own destruction, especially in the music that we produce and in the music that we consume. We are also actively taking part in that manipulation. So yeah, there are some things that have happened, but there are also things that we have contributed to. Once what's behind, once you follow the money and you find out where it leads to, what's the next thing to do. It's just yes, Yanabi, yes, what's up? It's really saying. Yes, Yanabi agrees with melanated. We all have lower and higher nature. Nothing wrong with listening to both types of music. Just have balance. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That there's nothing wrong with either listening to crazy music, as they say, or watching horror movies. It's simply the same thing. Just like you walk away, with from horror movies, just like saying, "Wow, that was scary, but these people are crazy." Why would somebody be chasing some girl in a forest trying to kill her? Some of this stuff is very normalized in movies, and so it's not even surprising that when you see some of these people who have been people writing letters to, they talk about, this is the other thing too, that people tend, black people are very like almost sometimes too obsessed with race to see the bigger picture. Because for us, when we say, oh, black women go after the pokis and the raiders and so on, which is true to some extent, which is true. But it's also the same with these women, like, and they don't just go for pookies, they go for ultra, serial killer pookie, white pookie, and somebody who just does the worst and the most and all of these things, and they still have, I don't know how many black women are going after some black men who killed a whole 20 people, but they're just some things that black women don't do. So every group has its own madness and delusions, and sometimes we think it's just us, but sometimes it's just we only practice those things to various degrees. But if you really look at even black women, they're like, oh, black men are the number one killers of black women. But look at white men. You think they're not, doing that to their women? And even once, like, most of the time when you look at this, when you have a whole, binging afternoon of serial killers, guess who's, or just killers in general, most of the time, it's insurance people or, married people. And it's, most of them, let's just admit it, are a certain group. So, we're not the worst, we're not the best, we're not the worst, and we shouldn't try to prove either our terribleness or our angelic nature. We're just who we are. But in any case, yeah, you can listen to music, it's not going to change you. Just like watching, when they say that they can lie down with a black person and still get up and know who they are. Well, you should be able to discern their things and still be able to know who you are. It's not going to change you, it's not going to make you less or worse, it's not going to make you forget who you are. You can take it. Yes, just have balance, and not even balance, just have a very thick skin, just be able to take all that and say, okay, well, that's how they feel. For me, like I said, I would rather somebody who shows their true nature than somebody who hides it and smiles and puts on a mask. Like, it's okay. I don't need to be liked, I don't need to but it's also not okay to pretend that they are this wonderful, beatific beings when they really tell you who they are. Like, they tell you, I am a beast. There's another song called The Hero, and in that song, one of the lyrics is like, I am an evil man. So even when they tell us who they are, we really don't believe them. We still want, to forgive and to give them a second chance and to say, no, they're not really that bad. If only we could, change them. If somebody tells you who they are, believe them. If they tell you, look, I am a beast, my, life is, our lives are short, nasty, and brutish, which is, Hobbesian. That's Hobbes, and you believe them. Don't let's not impose our our outlook of life on them. If they tell you that they're angry and they're beasts and all that, that's okay. Your slackness is going to be your downfall. Okay. Wiser words whatever said. So yeah, our slackness as a people will be our downfall. um I love last when you break up with someone, you feel those lyrics. What is last? Is that a song, or is that last with the LUST? Oh, Hotel Melanie, Real Black Gentleman, RBG. I got that one after after a while. Like, oh, it's the sounds also for RGB. So yes, Karibu, welcome. Good to have you. Yes, so we were talking about music and magic, and the distraction. The secret to magic is distraction, and I'm just simply talking magic as an illusion, not magic as the other types of deeper magic. That just the magic, and it's it's something that plays with your sense of vision, because you see something and then you see the result, you see a cause and an effect that should not follow from each other, but at the same time you cannot really explain how it happened. So yeah, the fact of music is also that it taps into the subconscious. It's not something that is logical. It's not something that you make sense out of. It's almost something like it's more intrinsic. Like if you hear a sad song, it's simply, oh, it feels that way. It's a very music is a very emotional um, art, but at the same time, it's very logical as well, because people who make music, they know, what kind of music is going to generate what kinds of, feelings or emotion. They know when to have an upbeat, and sometimes they play with it too, like that song, Hey Yeah. People would hear it and they would be just like, hey yeah, hey yeah, and they'd be like, dancing, and they thought that. And even the video as well, this is why, Outcast was so, brilliant with that one, because they played with people's, emotions and vision, because you saw the song, you had the lyrics, and it sounded like a very catchy upbeat song, but it was actually, the end of a relationship. I think you were saying, that, we're not compatible, we've tried our best, and hey, it's time to just call it quits, or I'm thinking of calling it quits. So it wasn't the upbeat song that from the video, and especially from the lyrics and the beat of the song, that it turned out to be. So musicians know when to create a beat that produces or elicits a kind of emotion or reaction that they want. So once they tap into that feeling, that emotions, emotions overpass logic. You can have the best reasons for doing something. Somebody can lay out to you why you should not do one, two, three, why you should not go out with two, three, four, why you should not, split up in a horror movie. And you'll still split up in a horror movie, and the killer is going to find, like, the killer isn't the only one who's intelligent in that scenario. Like, you have, five teenagers holed up in a cabin, but somehow one killer who, and most of the time he doesn't even have a gun. Like, if he can just came there and just, mowed everybody down with bullets, you would understand it. But he's like one after another, and he's just, getting them one by one. So, you know logic really trumps, is trumped by emotion. When you reach that aspect where you can reach somebody's, feelings, and bypass that logical aspect of it, you've really, gotten them. You've really, almost, that is the height of manipulation. It's where you can almost, because that's part of brainwashing. It's coming to a place where not only do you wash the brain, you also imprint, your own ideas into it. So firstly, you have to get rid of, the old ideas. That's the brainwashing. Everything you believe is a lie, so on and so forth. This is not true, and so on. So somebody has to shed their beliefs, and then afterwards, once they do that, just like in the army, they break you down to build you up. And then after that happens is when now you can start telling them now who they are, what they believe, and so on. So now you can start imprinting your own ideas and emotions into, the subject. So yes, they will always split up. We've seen the movies, we've seen the parodies of the movies, but in order to still have a movie, they always have to split up. So, defying logic, defying reason, defying experience, defying everything, they have to split up, and they have to run into the forest and trip and fall and all that stuff. The only thing that I wonder nowadays is, with cell phones and everything, that cuts a horror movie into, a very short time, because nowadays you just boom, boom, hey, and the killer is out there, just, and, with alarm systems, and, and all this. Yeah. Nowadays, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to write a horror movie. Unfortunately, technology has killed horror. Damn. Um, yeah. So last, yes. Let's see if Melanated Goddess explains to us what it. Yeah. So welcome, real back gentleman. What good artists do you all support? Promote them, artists. Yeah. Okay. So from the top of my head, I know there is the lady. What's her name? It starts with an S. Ah, man, but she sings some really good music. So sorry, I apologize for that. I'll have to. There is classy slackness and there's raunchy slackness. Oh my goodness, Izuli, what is classy slackness and raunchy slackness? Now we're getting into slackness definitions. Okay. Yes, Hotel Real Black Gentleman. Last is Burna Boy's song. It's about breaking up heartache and she's relying on drinking and weed to cope with it so he doesn't cry. Oh, poor big baby. Sorry, but oh, okay. Heartache and relying on on coping mechanisms. So, well, that's also a very emotional song. Songs nowadays are very emotional. Last said, I need Igbo and Shayo, which means drugs and alcohol, pure slackness. Yes, I definitely agree with that. So, what language is he singing in? What languages is this Shayo? Where is Burna Boy from? Is he from Jamaica? Is he also from Jamaica? It's Shayo Jamaican slang, and yes, not excusing poor coping skills and abusing drugs. Yes. Um, yeah, they always split up. They always split up. They have to for. That's why I don't even understand why people watch movies. Movies are the most predictable things in the world. Like, what are you, five? Do you like to see things blue? Anyway, let me not start on people. Sade. Oh, what about Sade? Sorry, I missed that one. I missed the reference. So yes, so slackness is promoted more and patronized more, but that's on the on the basis of people who want that in a particular way. If suddenly music was different, if they sang about different things or promoted different values, maybe things would be different. I don't know, but in any case, for now, what is sung about is either the most delusional or the most irrational, which is either promoting songs about love. Nothing wrong with love, it's good to love, we are the world and all of that stuff. That's wonderful, stuff. But it's this very unrealistic, idealistic, and ultimately just a whole denial of reality. It's a world where people are getting along, people are Benetton colors, and everything is wonderful and great with the world, or it's just this constant pursuit of, in the declaration, it's the declaration or the other one, the love, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This constant pursuit, of happiness, or love, if you substitute constant pursuit of love, that's also, that distraction. Imagine if they had substituted that with something else. Because I don't know, but I think the original one was pursuit of property, which would have made sense, because pursuit of life, liberty, and property would make more sense, in the world. But happiness, what does happiness have to do with, with a capitalistic system, or with, government and states and all that? Is the state in charge of happiness? Do states ask the people, oh, are you happy? Have you, pursued your happiness properly? No, you know people pursue happiness in their own way, but in adding that, it made that into almost like a presumption of citizenship, that you should pursue happiness, which is, you can pursue that, but some people also pursue other things. So in any case, even our desires, for the most part, I'm speaking only in a general term now, even our desires have been manipulated. Even what we desire as people have been manipulated, because even those the songs that people sing about, it's not just a mere description. A lot of them, some of them, serve as a promotion of certain lifestyles. Some of them actually serve as promotions and advertisements for certain things. It's not a coincidence of how, they sing about, these bottles of wine. They used to have in the old movies, they used to have like these images or something. I don't know whether they were gang related or they did that because of advertising, but they used to blur out the images of people wearing hats or t-shirts that depicted certain things, because either it was violent content or they didn't want to promote certain brands for whatever reason. But they have gotten around that by just singing about them. People can sing about, oh, I was in the club sipping on whatever they were sipping on, and so on. And so that's also a form of advertisement. Advertisement is simply somebody, convincing you to buy something. So you might not be thinking that, oh, somebody is trying to sell me something, but now you have a hankering for Ciroc or, Courvoisier or something. So music is not just this innocent expression of emotions. It's actually emotions that are geared towards distraction. It's geared towards consumerism, or geared away from certain aspects of societal things. Maybe at one point, when people are at loggerheads, or there's a societal imbalance, then that's the time to bring out the happy singers and tell everybody, reassure everybody that things are okay. Just be happy, just be merry, don't worry, be happy, and all of that stuff. And then when people are in a state of boredom and stasis, then it's time to bring out the crazy clowns with the weird hairstyles and all those marks and stuff on their faces. So those things change, but the ultimate purpose is always the same. It's always population control, not in population control in numbers, because controlling the population is not just controlling the numbers, it's also controlling their behavior. It's also controlling how they react. It's also testing and seeing, even putting forth scenarios. How do people react to this kind of thing? How do people react to this kind of artist doing this kind of thing in public? So we are always under observation, under testing, and so on. And music is simply one of those ways of both observation and manipulation. And they bypass, they manipulate your mind by bypassing your logic and reason, by making you think or daydream or think of even unrealistic expectations in relationships. You have, if you listen to love songs, you'd have this very skewed notion of what relationships are supposed to be, and depending on what you listen to. So even what they talk about is something that people don't really think about. They simply engage with it, but they don't think about it because they are simply feeling it. And feeling is one of the worst ways to base your behavior. um, yeah, nothing wrong with listening to it. Just like just like with everything, it's not to say that you shouldn't listen, or you should avoid it at all costs. It's simply to go in knowing that firstly, you somebody's trying to manipulate it, and once you know that, is to analyze the manipulation and say, okay, this is what is going on, and to almost stand away from it. It's almost like an out of body experience. You can enjoy it, but you still have to enjoy it with a with a black eye, so to speak. What are they trying to do? Be on your guard, that sort of thing. Yes, slackness will be your downfall. I love that. Oh, okay. So, okay, I got that. It's a song by Bana, and she's talking about, breaking up with somebody. Well, the saddest breaking up song was Tony Braxton's and Break My Heart. Yeah, how are you just going to tell us that, the guy died like that? Man, don't play with feelings like that. Like, oh, I'll break my heart. And then, first of all, then, you're mad at the guy, like, oh, why did he break poor, Tony's heart? And then you feel you heard that he died, and that's not his fault. So what are you supposed to feel about that? You just a complete tug of heartstrings. Um, yeah, Burna Boy. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't listen to a lot of reggae. I know some of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound, callous about it, but Oh, Nzola is calling me a $5 African. If you don't know where Bano Boy is from, I do not know these people. I don't know who this. He's probably what do you call them? The Afrobeats. Which one is the correct one? Is this Afrobeat or Afrobeats? Yeah, those ones who are just singing all kinds of nonsense. So yes, I will admit that one. I am a yeah. It called me even a $450 one. Nigeria, see, that's the other thing. That's on, yeah, they sold there, they sold for Afrobeats, whichever one. Movies are great. Okay, yeah, like I said, to each their own. For me, honestly, when I try to watch a movie, I almost always end up saying, okay, I can make a better movie in my mind, and then I end up just falling asleep to it. It's hard for me to pay attention to something more than 30 minutes long. um yeah, yeah, see, I don't know why people are always coming for me, but that's okay. I have a thick skin. Never ever seen but one. See, yeah, see, there. That's right, Dada. Know it all. You don't need to be wasting your time on movies, man. Just relax and listen to music. I'm kidding. Or tend to your garden or do something wholesome. Nobody listen to gospel when they want to seduce the partner. There's a time for play for all. Yeah, sometimes I wonder, what the pastors put on. Like they just switch from God to hey baby, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's funny. I guess God is a mood killer. Is that what we're saying now? But don't forget, He's still watching. There might be a time and place for all music, but all times and all places are, He's there at all times and places. So yeah. Few months ago, I called them about the cops trying to run a black family from the hood and how the woman ancestors came to teach them what to do. So, yeah, the ancestors will come from time to time to put fear into the hearts of these people. But that's what we have not really done as a people, I think. I think we have not really taken the power of music. We have used it as, something to feel good. We have used it as a coping mechanism, as a game, really, because when you look at black music, much of it is just about trifling things. Like, if to me, if somebody is still singing about love in this, what new thing can somebody say about stuff like that? Um, oh, okay, welcome, Gus them up. How are you today?
Man, I've just been listening to crackhead music called Afrobeat.
Yes, do you know this Banner Boy?
He cool, he cool, he cool, he alright.
Okay, okay. So,
I mean, he is promoting drug taking in his music.
well, apparently that's because he broke up with his girlfriend and now he has to just.
So not only is he promoting simp culture, he's telling us to take drugs and alcohol after a woman that was parading herself naked leaves you.
Well, his feelings were hurt, he doesn't know what to do. He loved her very much, and now, she's gone. She's gone. So,
I bet you he didn't cry like that when his mom got sick or something. Isn't it weird? Like us men, we'll sit down there and spend so much money in the strip club and do all this stuff. You tell the same man like, yo, take some of that money, buy your mama this or buy her this and let's go feed homeless children. He's like, oh hell no. That's it.
priorities, priorities,
I mean, but women too, because they'll spend their time worried about the husband's penis instead of focusing on feeding hungry children in their neighborhood, right?
Yeah, but women will hold on to money and try to hold on to their husband's money rather than going to spend it out on some dude. So at least for them, they're on a holding basis rather than on
Yeah, but I'm not impressed with that. Don't be a tricky Kenyan. Don't give him an out. No, hungry children in Kenya right now. If all the side chicks and wives of the rich, powerful men in Kenya decided to feed Kenyan children, I guarantee you 60% of the Kenyan children would not go to bed hungry.
Look, the reason why women might appear selfish is only because they want to, they're thinking about their own children. You cannot feed your children, you cannot feed the other people's children while your children go hungry. So that's all they're doing.
I'm talking about the women who have the side chicks and the rich men's wives. What do you mean children go hungry? The children aren't even in Kenya. The children are in Eswatini and in Luxembourg and in Germany and the U.S. The children will not go hungry.
Oh, well, it's more expensive to feed them out there, but they still have to get fed. So, that's all. It's not that they have anything against other feeding other people's children. It's just that they want their own children fed first. So,
Have you seen the obese bastards that they're raising?
um, some of them, yeah, they do get influenced by the places that they go to and by their
So their kids are not going to be missing any meals anytime soon. Like I say, the fact still remains. Men, we don't put our priorities. Women don't put their priorities. This guy's in love with a stripper pretty much. She leaves him. Now he, is heartbroken and he wants to take drugs and alcohol.
It's about relatability. There are many young men who have broken up with their girlfriends, and then when they hear that, it strikes a chord. It strikes a chord, and they feel like somebody's speaking their pain, and so on. So it's emotional. Love is rules the world right now. People think it's easy.
I don't
No,
know what the hell you're talking about. Love? What the heck is what? You
he
might as well just give me a Bible and tell me to give my life to a man named Jesus.
well, that's also love. The basis of the whole Bible is love. Love.
No, not at all. People misinterpret it. Look, listen. Allegedly, this guy named Jesus, he died for my sins, and he didn't get anything in return. Only thing he wants is my soul, and for me to give myself to him. It's kind of freaky, but whatever. And he wants me to eat his body and drink his blood. Again, kind of freaky, but whatever. Yet, you know, the the thing is that people say, how many people love like Christ? How many husbands love their wives like Christ, which is selflessly, or how many wives love their husband like Christ, which is selflessly. So
Well, if they loved him, if they loved their wives like Christ, they really wouldn't have any wives at all. You
that's
know,
the point. Aha. So the Bible can't be about love, because what people are saying is love is pretty much selfishness.
well, that's why they're saying that you should love something higher than just somebody else. So that's why the love for God is something that is higher than the love for mankind. So mankind's love is, let me tell you how it was said. Oh man, I should send you that article about this Christian Catholic woman who was talking about love, and she was saying this, that the love for man is like a reflection in the puddle. It's like a reflection in a muddy puddle, but that reflection will always remind you of the sun, that is the love for the divine God himself. So while love for mankind is still some kind of love, but it's a shallow reflection of the ultimate love for God. Yes.
Sounds like page 72 of the Jehovah Witness bullshit manual.
Well, she's trying to explain to you what love is. That didn't strike a chord in your hardened heart.
Nope. What are you gonna do next? Smite me like Pharaoh?
Well, she was just saying that you can have something that is more elevated if we simply just look at man's love for mankind. that is a very debased kind of love, because if you look at mankind, man is imperfect, so that kind of love cannot be perfect. So the higher love is the love for something and the belief in something greater than thou, than you. Wow, I just went full a full Pentecostal, but
Hey, your girlfriend Marcus Garvey, she's in the chat. Shout out to her.
hello, Marcus Gabby. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes. What do you think about all this music and love? And that is what really music has degenerated to. We talk about the troubadours and the poetry and all that about love, and basically that's what, well, not now, but at some time when it was just love songs and all this stuff. And even now, the main topic of most songs is still, that one emotion. So we have come to that aspect where even music has been taken over by this one emotion, whereas music was supposed to encompass the entirety of the human experience. So, there were work songs, there was love songs, there was social songs, there was, circumcision songs, there was rites of passage, marriage songs, all of these things. Even there were songs about we had songs about just mosquitoes, or or somebody coming to your house and not finding food, and just music had a more creative outlet than just one single emotion. We reduced the whole human experience to this one very yeah, it's something that's almost undescribable. Everybody has a word for it, but nobody really knows what it is. It's supposed to be permanent, and yet it comes and goes. It's supposed to be conquers all, and yet it's conquered as at the slightest threat. So it's this belief and this it's still a faith in an emotion, in this emotion called love, not just the one between humans, but also the one beyond that. So if the divine commands you to do something, you will do it because it's done out of love, and love justifies all. uh,
I have no idea what you're talking about. You sound like Mary J. Blige recovery song.
Apparently I don't love love. No, I love is good. It's good to love. It's good to love people. It's better than hatred. I'm just saying that and the overemphasis of and the attachment of music to the emotion of love is something that has been exaggerated. Music is far bigger than one emotion, and love is not restricted to how it's expressed in music. So that's all I was saying. I wasn't saying that
Can you say that last sentence in Swahili?
oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, what did I say? Can you remind me?
Love can't be restricted to music and shouldn't be. That's what you were saying.
Oh, okay. Upendo sio tu kwa muziki, na muziki sio tu ya upendo. Mm.
Finish making up the bullshit.
Yes, it was a very trimmed, bare bones, yes, way of expressing it.
Why is Yona looking for love from a brother? Isn't that incestuous, Yona? Brothers shouldn't love their sisters.
uh, okay, wow. You know what? Anything I say after that is going to be wrong. So I'll just let that one go. Yeah. But yeah. Where is the love? Y'all seduce for what? Y'all rather slackness and freakness instead of freedom. What is freedom? What is freedom?
I agree with Azuli. Shout out to Azuli. Sakmasi.
Yeah. Of course you would. Okay. Seduce
What
for
does that mean? This isn't some bro code. Azuli's an honorary pentagrammer. That's all.
okay. Y'all rather slackness and freakiness instead of freedom. But why is freedom opposed to slackness and freedom? In fact, most people who define freedom do define it as slackness and freakiness. When people talk about free love, that's what they meant.
That's a great point. Vaginal slackness meant that she was free with her sexual choices. You're on to something, Tam. Keep going.
Yeah, so even this idea of freedom, not just love, we have a lot of ideas, in the modern world that people just take for granted because of how they define it. But, slackness and freakiness was the definition of freedom. The reason why, feminism is equated to freedom. Feminism is not about women being less slack and less freaky. The way they defined themselves was actually more freedom to be as freaky as they want, you know.
Well, that's not true. Feminism was, isn't it? Wasn't it about? Because I need a history lesson. But wasn't it about women's attempt to, well, depending on what wave, right? First wave, second wave. So the
Yes,
first wave
your
was
brow.
about women's right to subject themselves to the corporate nation state, corporatism, so they can get franchisement. And then second wave was for white women to enter into the boardroom so they can be corporate players. Isn't that what it was about?
Yes, yes. And initially, the honorable part of it, the part that is that whole, they wanted women to be paid the same and to have an equal, both representation and compensation in the workplace. So, that's where it came about. It came from,
But isn't that funny that women have always been working though?
mm, well, they were working, but the ideal, especially when it came to the industrialization, was to make women work less. So they tried to have the ideal, even though it was not always met, but the ideal was for women not to work. The ideal woman was seen as somebody who was dainty, who was frail, who simply sat around. So even though that was not the ideal for working women, it was what became in vogue, and more women also wanted to have that. But then when they saw the corporate world and they had a taste of it, I think they also wanted the benefits that came from that, and the freedom to actually live. They say that the house now became a prison, whereas before it was a refuge. So I think it changed in a while when they saw maybe the benefits.
Isn't it weird that they didn't run away from the state? They ran into the state.
Yeah, because they saw the state as freedom, and that's what I'm saying about Ezuli. The state has always been a champion of freedom, and freedom is pretty much doing what the state accepting what the state gives you, and not doing what the family or community wants you to do. So the state, it buoys up all these different kinds of, even the counterculture movement. The counterculture movements are actually usually sponsored by the state, because it's a way to keep people still working for the state without being against it. So they feel that they're against it, whereas they're simply working for it. So the state gives a salve for accepting that. It tells you that we'll give you a few things in order for you to accept your limited role in it. So yeah, the
So
state.
basically, dissent management.
Yes, yes, exactly. And they liked that kind of management because it was guaranteed. It didn't come with any, emotional, obligations. Because when they relied on, the family, even though they were secure in their houses, they were protected. They didn't have to go. Well, the privileged ones, not all of them. They didn't have to go outside and break their fingernails. At the same time, they were still under the control of their men. Whereas with the state, you can still still have that protection, but you're not under the control of anyone. The state will give you, and they will demand something from you, but they will not control your behavior, only your obligations. So it was a good bargain. It was a good bargain for the women, because not all white women even wanted the right to vote. A lot of, especially the housewives and the women who were married, they did not want that. They said, why would we want firstly to vote against our husbands? Why do we want to go against them? And the women said, no, your husbands are pressing you and all that. And actually most of them ended up voting with their husbands. So it was still a very
Kind of like most white women voted for Trump.
yeah, actually, yeah, that's
So
yeah.
basically, grabbing them by the coochie is a good thing.
Not good, but effective, apparently. You know, I don't know how, but you'd expect, them to be shocked and flabbergasted and all that by that kind of behavior. So, hey, yeah, but yes, so it was not all women who wanted those kinds of freedom, because they knew that with those kinds of slackness and freakiness, they would lose their place in society, that their being at home and working and all of that would lose some of its luster. And so they tried very much up to the 1950s to still hold up that ideal of the domestic woman, and so on. But eventually the 60s and that freedom just crushed it, because the hippies now felt that freedom was not in security. It was in behaving as thou will. So
Sounds like neurotic people.
yeah, I mean, they're fascinating in their neurosis, but that's how it is. And only one I understood was upendo. It's upendo from watching. Ah man, now you're learning Kiswahili from Lion King, but okay. Tan, I'm talking about real freedom. I'm not talking about sexual freedom. Okay.
I agree with Azuli. Shout out to the honorary pentagrammer.
Okay. Real freedom has discipline.
I
Well, in
agree with
fact,
Azuli. Shout
how
out to the
does
pentagrammer.
freedom has discipline? The whole definition of discipline is actually limitation, restriction, is yeah, it's the opposite of freedom. The discipline is restriction, which is the very opposite of freedom. So I don't see how discipline can be freeing. But okay. Brother Bakari, what's up? Amani, Brother Bakari, welcome. B saying is that what the feminists were saying is that women were working, the pay was not equal. Women always worked. Okay.
Is that true?
I think women worked.
Would you pay someone who has to take off time for pregnancy as opposed to someone who doesn't have to take off for pregnancy? If
Um,
you're a capitalist, purely looking to exploit labor, no feelings involved, no, well, maybe on Thursdays we bake pies, just purely
well,
financial.
this is what I would say.
Don't be a tricky Kenyan. Answer the question.
Okay. uh, you would not outrightly say that you would not hire them. Firstly, because you'd be depriving yourself of a big market. That's 50% of your
No, I didn't say hire them first. No. I'm saying, okay, maybe I said that, but what I mean is payment. You have to pay two workers. One is going to work and drop dead. One is going to work and then take time off for children.
okay. Are they going to know how much both of them are being paid?
Are you going to pay them the same wage? Just be honest.
uh, Look, I'm going to pay them the one.
Oh my God, Tan, are you going to pay? You're a capitalist looking to exploit labor. Are you going to pay one person who can take off for 9 months,
Okay,
up to four or five times?
yeah, let me see if this helps. No, you don't pay them, you replace them temporarily. Okay, there you go. So, you pay them. That's what I was going to say as well. Thank you. You're going to pay them until they have to take some time off. And then when they come back, you replace them with a temp. And then when they,
Tan,
hmm?
Damn, why do you women like to do this stuff? And this is why I know you women should never be near positions of power because you girls are purposely not thinking like bloodthirsty villains. Do you think Andrew Carnegie, John Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan gave a shit about that bubbly stuff you just said? I'm gonna pay them and hug them. He said, go into the mines and lose an arm. He chopped it off, throw him over there, give him some pennies. If we give him some pennies and get the next body in there, break that back building my railroad, break your neck building my power lines. That's what you're dealing with. They don't care. So if you want to be a capitalist, I'm going to ask you again. If you are a capitalist like John Rockefeller, are
Mhm.
you going to hire women in your oil rig who are going to leave and then get pregnant and pay them the same as a man who you can work to the bone and this idiot will not leave because he has to support the lady who gets pregnant? Yes or no?
Before I answer, let's welcome the third pentagrammer, Jose. Thank you for saving me with the bell.
No, Jose can't save you. No, no, no. Jose's just here to watch you get knocked out. Please
I
answer the
I don't
question.
know if I'm here to save you, man, but I want to say that it all depends on what the industry demands. It
Uh-huh,
all
uh-huh.
depends on what the industry demands. So
But we're talking about a capitalist, hard capitalist here,
hard
1900s.
capitalist, hard
1900s, a
hard hard.
capitalist does not care about the industry. He just wants to exploit labor. Tan,
No, no, no,
Jose,
no,
wait,
no,
Jose,
no.
no, wait, but wait, Jose, I want her to answer the question. Wait, Jose, because you're saving her now. Don't save her, please. Give me
I'm
two
not
seconds.
I'm not
I know, but
saving
just
her.
give me 1 minute, Jose. Jose, just give me 1 minute, please.
You
Tan,
the
answer
deal
the question,
is
because she's trying to dodge, Jose. I don't want her to use you as an excuse to say she couldn't answer the question. Tan, you're a capitalist. Who are you going to pay more? The man who does not take time off, or the woman who can take time off repeatedly? Answer the question, Tan.
Fine, the man, but only, slightly because you still want to attract, female employees. So you're not going to just, not pay them, a decent wage. So, in the meantime, you're going to pay the men, a bit more. Yes. But then you're still going to work around, the women so that they also, get back to work as soon as they can. And, you facilitate, that whole experience. Good gosh, what am I saying?
I don't know what you're saying, but I give up.
Okay, but like you said, with stages of feminism, there's also stages of capitalism. So that kind of cutthroat mentality, it starts there. Where the men are being just dropped down the coal mines, and the women are just working those terrible factory jobs. But once the
Walmart doesn't let their workers unionize. Amazon has internal memos telling the women work through your period. The men can't take bathroom breaks. Shit on yourself. This is what are you talking about? And this is 2022.
okay. Yonabe saying, don't forget all of these men suffered many lawsuits, gas. That's why the laws have changed. Yes. So she's saying as well that the laws have changed and things are good. We got the 40
I
hour,
just told you Walmart workers can't unionize, and Amazon had internal memos basically telling people to work through without bathroom breaks.
and that's terrible. But that's
And
better.
that's 2022 with the so-called laws on the books.
Okay, true. But it's still better than having no laws at all when you could literally work a man to death, and if he died on the job, he'll just be thrown out and replaced by another one.
But
So,
the point is that it's a myth that women make less than men. That's just a myth.
well, Jose was saying about the industries. So, Jose, what were you saying about the industries?
Yeah, before that, I wanna pause, gas them up his favorite subject, and ask what was the title of the show again. But let's go to gas them up his favorite subject,
The
and
Romans?
ask and
No, please, no.
ask and
The
ask
Romans?
and
Please, we cannot
And
afford that
ask not the
debate.
Romans, not the
Okay.
Romans.
Phew.
It's the war of the sexes. But let's get what did I say? I said it all depends on the industry's demands, right? So in when in these steam machines, in these steam machines in the late 19th century, everybody was at the factory, man. The home was under the smoke of the factory. Everybody was at the factory. The 14 children, the wife, the husband, everyone was in the factory. So let's to 50 years later, when automation took care of a lot of things, then suddenly it was the wife needed a house full of bullshit that she didn't need. So that's when women were at home being taken care of, right? And I'm sort of paraphrasing, or I'm filling things up, but with logical thinking, or with my logical thinking, let me put it that way. But and again and again and again, 50 years later, here we are, with women, with a genocide on children, on unborn children. Let me put it that way: genocide on unborn children, and these women, they have the same. The demands are the same. You have to be on time at work. So where's that freedom? You have to spend hours in traffic to get at work. Your house still has to be clean. You have to cook, to eat, or to work harder, so you can order pizzas or whatever. So the only freedom eventually is, and shout out to my pentagram guess them up. The only freedom is to fuck, to choose who you fuck eventually. So yeah, that's my take. What was the title of the show again?
It was music, magic, and manipulation. So we were examining the magic in music and how that is used as a tool of manipulation, for people and individuals. And yeah, yeah, but we always get around to other things. That's why I said it. It's open, and then somehow Gaston always gets it
And
around
and,
to.
and what's your take? And your is plural. What's your take? And also the chat. What's your take on what I just described? It depends on what the industry demands.
Yeah, I mean, when women were, especially like in the wartime, the industry demanded that women go and do a lot of those work that men used to do, because that time they would go into battle, and women did get a taste of that freedom, especially. And the freedom was not the freedom to work. I think this is where people are wrong about it. The freedom to, for women to work in that, during war era was not there, because they had still been working. But I think the difference was that firstly the men were not overseeing them, because in the past, even if they worked in the factory, they'll still go home and still be, under the tutelage of their menfolk, whether the fathers or the husbands. And in fact, when the automobile came, um, many of the people, women were not allowed to drive, and they had to really fight for their freedom. And then when the concern was that they would be able to just leave their house and go and meet up with whoever they wanted. And that one of the reasons why the car was considered such a symbol of freedom in America is because it allowed young men and women to be able to spend time away from their families. Before, you had to come to the house and talk to the girl under the watchful eye of her father. But in the automobile era, you could take your car and take your girl and go over the overseas a certain point, and just. And also that's why they had this one of the series, the Zodiac, he actually was targeting young couples who were rendezvousing in this secluded spots. They were not secluded. They were known. They would gather in a group of cars with young men and women. So the freedom of work was also the freedom from men and the freedom away from the home. So in terms of freedom, it's also defined in different ways, because some women define freedom as security, being able to have a home of one's own, and some of them defined it as the freedom to leave home and be able to go somewhere else. So and when it comes to the industries, yeah, in some areas, women still make a greater percentage of, not the highest achieving areas, but in terms of they have had steady, well-paying jobs. It's still not the highest paid, but I think in those professions like in nursing, you can actually, become well-paid if you, especially if you reach, the highest credentials. So
Wait, you said they're not the highest paid. What do you mean by that?
well, let's say, in the medical profession, well, nowadays it's changing because there's a lot more, women doctors than before. But in the past, most of the women who were in the medical industry were nurses, even though nurses were still
No, no, wait. No, don't compare nurses and doctors. Let's compare doctors and doctors.
okay, doctors. Okay, I think yeah, I think female doctors and male doctors are paid pretty much the same.
Well, there
Let's
was
also
a
let's
discrepancy.
also look
The
to
reason why there was a
tech.
discrepancy
Let's
is
also
because
let, let's also look
but,
at tech. You
no,
know,
but look, I'll get to tech in 2 seconds. But look at this. The reason why there was a pay discrepancy is because most women doctors went to pediatrics, while most male doctors specialized. They went into heart surgery, brain surgery. They became specialists in their field, which of course there's a higher demand in terms of you need you know two heart specialists in your hospital, one who's going to work the morning shift, one who's going to work the night shift. You need a brain specialist, a spine specialist. These are high demand fields, and often men go in those fields. The women, the demands of those jobs take them away from their children. So most women choosing rationally say, screw that, I'd rather spend time with my child. And women doctors are like, what's the one position as a woman doctor typically that will allow me to have the most time with my children? It's family medical practice, pediatrician. So you look at the numbers, you see more women getting paid, let's say, 250,000, and male doctors getting paid 300,000. You say, aha, see, it's discrimination, but you're not looking into account the choices that the women are making. What do you say to that, Ted?
well, you know, I still say that why can't they pay the pediatricians as much as they pay the heart surgeons? Yes, it's a more demanding
The
field.
hospital's going to go bankrupt if you did that. If you have 12 or 15 general practitioners and you're paying them the same as you pay your spine specialist or you pay your brain surgery specialist, your hospital will go bankrupt. Oh, come on, Ted. Let's think
No,
like business
just
people here.
pay the brain
yeah,
specialists a
the
little less and pay the pediatrics
He's
a little.
gonna go to the next hospital that will pay him more. Tan, think like a business person. This isn't a
guess
feel-good social
guess
club.
guess. She's confirming your point. Imagine, imagine, imagine what is doing now at the brain surgery department.
What am I doing, Jose? What am I doing?
Yeah, three brain surgeons walk in a bar. One of them says, "Well, can't we take less salary and give it to the general practitioners?"
Well, the NBA
The
agreed.
question is, guess which gender said to pay less?
Look, the NBA men agreed to take a salary hike to help the WNBA.
It's
So,
the dumbest shit in the world, Tan. Come on, like let's stop this. The women in the WNBA should just go home and bake cookies, because at the end of the day,
wow.
it's
At the end
not
of the
that.
day,
Take it
nobody goes
personal,
to watch
Tan.
them.
That's the
Nobody
point.
goes to watch them.
You women
No
should be going
advertiser,
Tan.
no no advertiser will spend millions or billions
Jose, this is how
sponsoring
you get her
because
to stop the nonsense.
there's no audience.
Tell Tan to give you 5 WNBA players off the top of her head right now, starting with number one. Give me 5. I'll
Oh,
give you one. Brittany Griner.
yep,
Give me
yep,
4 more. Give
yep.
me 4 more.
And she didn't
Active
get
all
famous
stars.
because of basketball.
Give me 4 more.
Can she count double? Because she's
No, 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 no. 10. Give me 4 more.
um
She's
Lisa,
she's a dead
Lisa,
She's retired. Retired. I'm talking about active players.
active. Oh wow, are they still active?
All
Uh,
the people you know are retired. Rebecca Lobo, Lisa Leslie, they're all retired. Active WNBA players. You don't know any. So
uh
how the hell do you expect women to get paid when y'all don't even show up to their games? But I bet you what, if LeBron James was going to Kenya, all you Kenyan girls would be there hoping he slams dunk you.
hold on. The reason why the women show up at the games is to support their men, their sons, their brothers, their uncles, all of that stuff. Now,
Oh God, the crying woman hypothesis.
if
Jesus.
if more men came to the WNBA games, you'd see, more women also supporting, those games. So, it's
What the heck? Wait, if so, it's I'm
So
supposed to
so
go watch women play a sport that they suck at.
they don't suck at, they just play at their own level. You don't have
So
to.
good, you go watch them. Why do you want me to watch them? You go watch them. It's
Well,
50% men,
this
50%
is
women.
simple. If women watch men's sports, then men
No
should
one is
watch.
forcing women to watch men's sports
They're not. It's not forcing them. They're just being supportive. So why can't men also be supportive of?
because it sucks.
women listen in soccer, and I'm sure in baseball, basketball, etc. In soccer, you have these young girls, and at the line, you know picking successful soccer players. That's why women go to watch soccer, to eventually suck in the dressing room. You
No,
know,
they're gonna suck in
the
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 ER.
that's where the pick me slots are, right? And they get picked after every game. But uh, um, the money in sports, the money comes from advertising, and nobody is going to advertise in a game where two chickens and a dog come to watch. They advertise. They want to be seen, so they advertise where it's attractive. In social media, you have these shorts with scenes in soccer, in women's soccer, that are laughable. And I expect the same in basketball and baseball and whatever. It sometimes is laughable. I'm
Jose,
sure,
there was an
hundred
Australian
percent
12-year
sure.
old team. Boys, they beat the Australian national women's soccer team. 12-year-old
Fifteen-year
boys,
old
Jose.
boys.
Yeah, 15, sorry.
15-year-old boy.
15-year-old boys beat the Australian female national team. You expect me to pay money to see that garbage?
It's hilarious. They shoot in their own goals. They forget that it's football and that it's not handball. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, but female women's tennis is more popular than men's tennis. So what do you say about that?
It sucks. Venus Williams and Serena Williams still can't beat men tennis players.
It's the mini
There's a man.
skirts. It's the
Listen,
mini skirts.
it's the miniskirts and the noise they make when they hit the balls. They go, ah, ah. All the men love it. But wait,
These,
Tim,
these men, these
there was
men
a
be,
guy.
be these men be watching on their couches with one hand holding
The remote,
the
the other hand in between
remote,
their
and the
legs.
other hand, yeah.
Tim, listen, there was a guy, he smoked for like 3 hours, ate a whole freaking steak meal, and played Serena Williams. He was like number 5,000 ranked amongst the male, and he destroyed her. He destroyed her. Like, she couldn't even.
Wait,
And
did
she's
that?
like, yeah, I gotta practice.
I think that happened with what's her name, boy, like in the 60s or something.
Yeah, yeah, Billie Jean King, that idiot. He let her win. That guy let her win. He didn't even play a serious game. Like, there's no woman that's gonna play against them. And again, that doesn't mean that the women's sport sucks. I'm being silly here, but let them be supported by women. Female doctors should be buying tickets to the games of the women, but they're
But they
going
don't.
to
But
watch
they don't because
men.
even the female doctors be at the sideline, hoping to get picked by a baller.
Wow, Kokou is being harsh this evening. He's like, men watch what they want, women be damned. He's sounding more like us. Why must we watch WNB to get y'all to watch it? Like I said, Kokou, is because women also support men's sports. So what's wrong with men also supporting women's sports? You know, they could go a long way, and women have been shown. Okay, not women versus men, just, women playing against women and showing what that can do in their own field. They don't
Everybody wants to watch epic games, epic goals, hat tricks. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see goals in
I
the.
do enjoy the lingerie American Football Club. That's a very good league, Jose. If you've never checked it out, Google it. Lingerie Football League. Very good league.
Is that like women's wrestling? Is that what Bonahaguzik is talking about? Do they also mud wrestling or regular wrestling? I'm
I
wondering.
don't know. Yeah, Luana's fetish for women wrestling, but
I like to
that
see.
lingerie football league is very nice.
Okay, I think I've seen
Uh,
it once or twice. But
I don't trust it, man. I, I, I think
Oh,
I
Jose,
think I
you would
think
love it.
I'd get bored too. And do you
Oh,
know
you'd
that
love it,
I
Jose.
actually I don't even watch soccer. I don't watch sports in
Mhm.
general. I don't watch sports. How am I going to watch 22 pairs of hairy legs running after a ball? How am I going to do that? But still, okay. I understand men that watch. They want to see epic games. They want to see Argentina against France. They want to see they want to see Argentina get back from 2-0 for France and make it 3-3. With epic goals, hat tricks from the France that one African French player. That's what people want to see.
Jose, here's the question: when Argentina won the World Cup, you saw so many Argentinian women in the streets screaming and celebrating. But whenever the Women's World Cup is on, Tan doesn't even turn her TV on there. Why?
It's cricket, and that's also one of the things that I saw in one of those shorts about women soccer. So one team won a World Cup or a Euro Cup somewhere, and there were two dogs and a chicken. Celebrating them on the road. So they were on a bus without a roof, just like the male soccer player. When there are millions of people waiting at them at the airport, and these ladies were driving around in empty streets. It was crickets.
See, we look to men for direction, and so that's why it's important for the women to support
You
women's
better
Well,
look to your
well,
GPS. You're gonna die following me. You're gonna crash and die.
here comes and this guess the mob doesn't like this, but here is where it counts. Women cater to the actual men in power, so that's why women are at the sideline with wet panties.
Oh no, I listen. Look, I'm not. You're right about women catering to men in power. I'm just saying that uh, I don't know why men pay attention to women who cater to men in power.
I think they don't. I think they wipe their dicks with them.
It's really is like women don't even watch women's sports. Oh, look, you know, if more men watched women's sports, more women would watch women's sports. Because when it comes to sports, who leads the charge? It's men. So men should lead the charge to promote women and to say, because women have done that. Women have before, women didn't know anything
That
about
it's
sports. Hmm?
you're describing feminism now. It's men who gave them their freedom.
Um,
Man, you know what's a good sport that you women should get into? I think you women should have the childbirth Olympics.
hmm.
Let's see if the Kenyan mother can outbirth the Mexican mother, and who gives birth the best. Who doesn't scream? Who doesn't need an epidural? Who can pop that baby out just like she was popping that coochie 9 months before? That's a much better sport. I'd pay money to watch that.
Nah, I don't know, man.
No, no, women also have some
But
athletic ability. It's not,
child child
not
childbearing Olympics is not a good sport. The
how
World Cup of childbearing.
You must be joking.
there you go. Women's track and field. That's something. Women can run. Women can hit balls across. Tennis.
I'm not saying that they can. I'm just saying the women's childbearing Olympics. You guys don't like that idea of a game?
No, I don't.
How would that even work out? That yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
think
1 year game. It's
we
like a triathlon. It's a 1 year game. So in the beginning, she, we see, we don't watch, but we hear how well she takes what her husband gives her or boyfriend. Then 9 months later, we see how well she gives birth, and she's not screaming,
I
she's
ain't
not
I ain't feeling
shouting.
that one. I ain't feeling that one. In
look,
my
it's not just the numbers. We're already winning in Africa. The average child per African woman, I think it's like, I think Nigerians have that one with highest, with around maybe, I think, five, and then in other places like it's
Look,
three, four,
man, no
five.
one's outrunning the Caribbean women. Caribbean women are the best in that track and field stuff. But the point is that the track and field, the women are still slow.
Oh, I
I
was talking
mean,
about the child giving stuff, that I'm saying that, African women are giving birth at high rates already. So, that's not even a
is
competition.
there there's a 60-meter sprint for women, right? 60 meters, right?
Yes.
Is there 60 meters for men?
I think that they're both the same.
No.
No? Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was the same, like 100 meters for both the long distance marathon. Don't they run the same distance?
It's the same distance, but
have you looked at the time?
how long do women take?
Yeah, have you looked at the time? The marathon. Go look at the New York City Marathon. The Kenyan woman's time versus the man's time.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's
Okay.
like after the men finish, then the people have to come back again and pretend like they're celebrating.
Only the journalists are there.
It's comical, man. You see, Jose, but this is why I say culturally, women have their own space, men have their own space. No side is devalued. But what's happened is the Western woman, the Western elite woman, wants to encroach in traditional male spaces, and in order to shore up her nonsense, she takes everybody along with her. But this is reinforced by music. This is the magic of music, and people don't realize it. So you have a person, back to the popular example. Beyonce says, "If you like it, you should have put a ring on it." But she was married. She's saying to the left, but she was married. It's weird how these people will sit in the studio and come up with nonsense, and people identify with this crap. It's the
You
weirdest
know,
thing.
the most influential music is the music that comes along with pictures. So the music in films and the music on in soap series and that type of shit. That's the most influential music. Agree or not?
Yeah, listen, this stuff is well, the muse, right? You know, what is a muse? People forget the word. It comes from the word muse, and it's
What does the word muse actually? What does it mean? What does the word muse mean?
10. Google it. Put it on the screen if you get a chance.
All right.
But the what I'm basically saying is that Jose, look, this stuff, this music stuff is very, very, it creates templates in people's minds and it warps and shapes their reality. So, you know, heck, when I was a kid, I lived by Jay-Z lyrics. I lived by DMX lyrics. You know, like, yo, DMX said this, Jay-Z said this, you know, but come to find out, these guys were freaking all compromised, all making up shit, you know? So, oh, and by the way, Yona, I didn't say that about the 60 meters. I didn't say anything about the women's 60 meters. You should play it back. That wasn't gas them up.
Yes, that was Jose. That was
What did Yona whatever
No, I don't know. I don't know what Yona said. Yona's
what
just
I
doing the
have to answer
typical.
to?
No, Yona's just doing the typical. She heard A and is just trying to ascribe it to the guy that she hates. It means she loves me indirectly, but, you know.
okay.
No, but
Okay.
if it was about what I said, it is me that have to answer to it. What is it? Because
Oh,
I
yes,
can't
yes, yes.
hear.
Here it is. Here it is. Yonobi says she used to run track and field 100%, and there is a 60-meter for both, yeah, for both men and women. So I think that's the one that was directed at you because you're saying that there's no 60 meters for women. So Yonobi ran the 60-meter dash. There you go. She's an exceptional woman. Bonhaguziki says, Yonobi, you are a sprinter.
Let me yawn. Excess. I'm sorry, it's late here.
Oh, thank you. I know, I know. Your time is always out of joint for everybody. I don't know whether you actually have daylight in wherever you're from, because every single time is night.
No, I don't live in Sweden or Norwegian or
It's
Finland.
always dark where you are. But yeah, yeah, no, no, it was a good one. Thank you for joining and for not. I don't know if you fell asleep and woke up or you stayed up and
With that said, Gas is gonna step out and go sleep because I need to go play some music so I can take some drugs and alcohol. I'm gonna go play some Burner Boy so I can take some Big Boy and Shayo and lose my mind because the stripper left me. And there's nothing like a British Caribbean stripper who broke my heart.
oh.
And
Okay, go wipe your
Yeah,
teeth.
but you have to be careful with emotions and music because music influence emotions. So pick your tracks. Pick
Ah,
your tracks
right.
well.
You track as well as the track and field. Is there
well,
any
I'm
word
gonna
in
go and
English
drink and play the field.
and the field as well? Is there not any word in English that's not just used and reused and misused and overused? Like, okay, just tracks and you have hair tracks. Anyway, yes, thank you both very much. I know
All right,
Jose
pentagrammers.
and yeah, a pentagram meeting. So thank you both. Jose, thank you for staying up. And Muse, yes, let's have the definition of Muse before we close out. Muse to muse, they started with the verb. To muse is to become absorbed in thought. Well, for me, the one I knew for sure is, the inspiration, which is to a source of inspiration. So Muse comes from the nine sister goddesses in Greek mythology who presided over song and poetry and the arts and sciences. So when you talk about your muse, it's the person or the being or energy or whatever that gives you inspiration. So they say the beloved writer's wife was his muse, but originally it was the Greek god. So the verb about it is to muse, to think about something thoughtfully, or to think about something in a thoughtful way. So yeah.
Okay, interesting because I in my Linux period, in my open source period, in my fuck Windows and Apple period, yeah, I used to knock some beats with a program named Muse. So yeah, that's why I asked. Okay, it's yeah, it fits the conversation. Although I missed the part about music.
No, but we brought it right back because music is also, the, where music comes from. So music comes from the word muse, from the inspiration. So musicians were usually supposed to be either, inspirational or inspired people or just mad. In fact, in Greek, Aristotle, and he did not like musicians. He said that, in the perfect city, where the ideal city, where the philosophers were kings and the kings were philosophers, there would be no music and arts and all this, because these are dissipative energies. They take emotions from the people and they whip them up, and they don't produce anything useful. So for him, he was against the muses and music in general, which, some religions are also against. So yeah. So music was feared because it created this magical distraction for people, which it put people in a trance. and
Yeah,
and
triggers in imagination.
yeah, yeah. So it captures your imagination, but it bypasses your logic. So you become simply emotional or imaginative, or lost in thought, or lost in fantasy or feelings. But that moment, you're really, vulnerable to suggestions and to manipulation. So that's why, music is still one of the most powerful tools that can be used against people, because people don't have time to. You can convince someone far easier through music than through
Yeah, but
wealth.
wait a minute. You say against people, but it also works in the revolution.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's why it has to be, contained by, by the state. That's why, the state has to have a hand in music, because they have to have a hand in that form of, emotional manipulation, because taken out of hand, it can, sway the people towards a certain way. So you either have to have it to be, either just, lulling people to sleep, like the love songs. And no, I'm not against love. All I'm saying is that when it comes to the expression of love, firstly, it's overvalued, because human beings are, no, are more than just love, pots. We don't just go about just loving. That's not the only emotion that humans can. But in music, a lot of that emphasis is so simply on feelings. And yeah, so music bypasses that emotional aspect and simply appeals to that emotional aspect of people, and also to the sound. To the sounds are also hypnotic sounds and sight. So the image of the hypnosis, the circle going around and round, that is also the certain physical, so the certain sounds on vibrations that can put human beings in a trance. So once you can do that, then you can easily manipulate them. There are some people who have tried playing some things in people's dreams or in their conscious and subconscious. So the way that we orally receive sounds can be manipulated, and with music it can be even more so than in a speech. It's easier. That's why even the language of seduction and so on, seduction is pretty much convincing somebody. And maybe we'll get to talk about it one time. But seduction is not simply love seduction. Seduction is actually, it can be intellectual, it can be logical, but the easiest way is simply through the use of emotions. And that's why people think that seduction is simply about emotions, but it's not always the case. But definitely it's the easiest way. So the easiest way to get to a man's brain is through music.
Yeah,
Yes.
agree. Okay. No. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you for coming by and gassed him up as well. Thank you for
Yeah.
everybody.
No. It was cold. The temperature woke me up.
Okay, well, good. Is it snowing or is it just chilly?
I don't know. I don't know if it ever snows in Senegal.
Oh, okay, okay. So just
I'm
cold.
I'm 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 taking the plane the 26th.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, enjoy your last, on the rest of your time there. Make the most out of it. Oh, you say you're coming on? Okay, you better come on then. People who come late when everybody's about to take their coats. Okay, yeah, come on in. We'll see. But I can't say that because yesterday I also came in late. So to focus. So hey, if you want to come on, do come on. So, but Jose gassed them up. We made it a Black Pentagrammer show, and Honorable Pentagrammer was in, but he did not get on, as really. But well, thank you, Jose, and thank you, Gastema, for joining. And yes,
Okay.
all
Good
right, have
night.
a good one. Enjoy your
Bye
night.
bye.
Bye bye. Okay, so as always, that's what happens when you don't prepare. You get distracted. And today, as I said earlier, I did not prepare. Well, I had an idea, and I didn't properly lay it out. So that's my fault. But we're going to do the full, all that materials and presentation. But you got the gist of it. You got the gist of it. The connection between music, and then credit to Gaston for bringing up the whole idea. The definition of music comes from the idea of from Muse, from the Greek Muse, which means one of the gods of arts, sciences, song, and poetry. The inspiration, Clio, the Greek Muse of history, and so on. So music is what inspires you to to create poetry, to create imagination, to let fantasy, you know, um, fantasy go. And in that respect, that's why Aristotle and the other some Greek philosophers, not all of them, because there are some that were, of the arts and sciences, but their main pushback against the Muses was because they said that they corrupted the minds of the people, that it made people, especially the young men, it made them be lost in fantasies and in these impossible worlds, and it made them, like the story of Icarus. Is it Icarus? I'll say Icarus because that's how we used to call him. Icarus, Daedalus, and Icarus. So Daedalus was, the father. They were stuck on this island, and so he created the wings out of, I think, out of swan. I think, was it swan feathers or some other bird? But anyway, he created the feathers out of a bird, and then fashioned them for himself and for his son. And so he flew up. Well, it's a story. It's a mythology. So don't take everything. But so him and his son flew up, but he told his son Icarus, "Do not fly close to the sun." So that's where that comes from. So do not fly close to the sun. But Icarus, being a young man of intemperate condition, he still went higher and higher and higher. He was so taken in by his newfound freedom of flight that he went up farther than his father. Farther than his father. Yeah, he went farther than his father had told him to go, and flew ever closer to the sun. And so the bird feathers were glued on with, with this sort of glue. I think he made it from bird fat as well. Yeah, he just recycle, use everything. So when he flew closer and closer to the sun, the sun would burn melt his the glue that held on his feathers to himself. And so, slowly by slowly, they melted and they started falling off. And he cried to his father, but there was nothing his father could do because, he could not help his son. If he tried to help him, he would also fall to the ground as well. So Daedalus saw his son fall down to the ground and to his demise because he did not listen to him. So don't fly close to the sun. But that's the moral of the story. You have to learn your own limitations. You have to know what you can do and keep within that. So so the muse was seen as this almost like a siren. You know about the Greek sirens. There were these women who called out to men and tempted them away from their course. Oh, Bonahagziki, you are here. Yes, I was rambling until you came on. But yes, what are your thoughts so far? How are you? And all that good stuff.
I'm sorry, Tan. I completely fell asleep earlier, but
Oh,
shout,
whatever.
shout out to the Black Pentagrammers. They usually take the first shift, breaking down that metaphysical stuff. Yeah, and the rest of the degenerates come on later in the night to take on other kinds of topics. But yeah, you was listening to some kind of rock and roll like demon music earlier. I wanted you to break that down for me a little bit.
Oh, okay. So basically, that was Amon Ahmad, and he was singing about how beastly he is, and how basically, let me see if I can get the lyrics to that, and just describing his nature. Um,
Now, why do you enjoy that?
well, firstly, because you know,
What's
it's
enjoyable about that?
well, because it's an interesting description. It's like the actual the most accurate depiction of who they are.
Oh, okay. But you say
Yeah.
you enjoy it though. You enjoy it?
Yes, yes,
Really?
and that's why I was, contrasting that with, black people's enjoyment of movies. There's nothing. Why do black people enjoy movies? Movies, firstly, are longer than a 5 minute music. First of all, secondly,
That's
music
true.
movies. And the second thing is movies are made to what? To show the best of who they are, to show them in their good light as heroes, as, love interests, as, these wonderful people. When it comes to this is not, them trying to make themselves be, look, they're simply saying who they are. So the lyrics of that is a beast in mind. Conceived was I from chaos and hate, of malice, deceit, and blood. And it's also poetic, but I like the darker form of poetry, not the fanciful, flighty ones. Let me see if I can paste that. Or
You wanna be said what's wrong with rock and roll? Everything. But it's like, I don't enjoy it. I don't know. I don't enjoy it. I like, you know what? I tell you what. I like country music. Country music is good.
uh-huh.
Country music, but I find that what you say bestial music, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It runs past me. But you say it's enjoyable because it explains that true nature. So I don't know. So
But
so
why
so
why do you still watch, let's say, movies that are made by them? Why do you watch sports that are made by them? Why do you consume other? Why do black people, not just you? Why do black people consume all other white products, white cultural products, and yet they are resistant to music in particular? Why do you think that is?
I think that most human beings, we like a good story,
Mm-hmm,
and it's not the fascination is not necessarily the colors of the people. Is just the fact that people tell good stories. Because I could I could watch a white person's movie, like a gangster movie, or because it tells a good story, and I could watch a Nigerian movie because it tells a good story. Some of them tell good stories. I watch Indian movies, they tell good stories. It's interesting to watch because it's just the art of storytelling. It's not necessarily because I watch it because I enjoy people doing bad things to one another.
mm-hmm.
I enjoy a good story, you know.
Okay, so good story. But what do you like in your music? So you like a good story in movies and so on, and everybody is able to tell a good story. So what do you look for in your music, for example?
It depends. It depends on the mood I'm in. Because I mainly kind of like listen to maybe reggae, in old
Mm-hmm,
school reggae, when they're talking about relationships. You know, if I'm in like a street mood, I listen to like some dancehall lyrics.
mm-hmm,
Because it's kind of like gritty, and they also tell good stories as well. Some of the reggae lyrics. I listen to some soca, or I even sometimes I find myself listening to rap music because it's just the art of storytelling and a
mm-hmm,
way of creating a picture in your mind. So
mm-hmm.
that's the reasons why I listen to it. But some of the rock and roll music, man, it's just complete destruction. That I kill
And
my mother. Well, I mean, what the hell is that? So it's like you
something
listen to that kind of music when you're getting ready to shoot up a grocery store.
You know what the LAPD used to listen to before they went shooting up in the black neighborhood? They used to listen to that whole "fuck the police" songs amongst most of them, but that was the one that they listened to because it got them hyper and angry and got them in the mood for that for
Is that
going.
right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Mm,
heard that,
mm.
a few years ago. Like, yeah, they would actually listen to that song, like "fuck the police," and that would motivate them to go. Like once you go in, because when you go to war with people, even in the army, the first thing is that it's breaking down and building your own people, but it's also breaking down and demonizing the other side of people. So when you go into war, you already have your names for the other side. You're already calling them, like the British, they're calling the Germans, the Jerrys, and the Germans would call the Brits, their version of, what, yeah. So I think they call them was it the Johns or the Smiths or something like that, some typical British name. So the first thing when you go to war is to demonize the other person, or when you want to get rid of a people is to start, by calling them names or calling them,
I
demon.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah,
So
yeah. There used to be an old Christian song called "Onward, Christian Soldiers,
mhm.
Marching On to War
Yes,
with
I
the
know.
blood of Jesus." Yeah, that was a tune that they would get inspired by, I guess, before they would go and dominate and conquer people. So that is true. Hey, you wanna be? Come on, you look like a musical connoisseur. You should come on and give your contribution. Tap in. And
Yeah.
also, there's Mugabe. Mugabe said that when they was fighting against the British, they used to listen to a lot of Bob Marley. I find that fascinating. I find that fascinating. So music does inspire people to and move them to act and do strange things. But I find it fascinating that people will come into black communities listening to F the Police or so-called gangster music and then harm black people. But it's not a big stretch because that music inspires you to harm other black people
Yeah.
or other people to harm black people. It does inspire that. So I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, not only does it inspire you to harm other black people, it also inspires you to see that, yeah, they want to harm you. So you really,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's why the music is so popular among certain groups of people because they could say the N word 24 5 hours a day, and the music inspires that whole idea, that racist culture. It inspires groups or white folks or whoever the dominant society is to harm or maim or abuse black folks. So I understand why it's so popular. I understand why it's so popular. Even in our music, our music is a very self-destructive one. So I would understand why people looking in would be interested in certain artists. They don't go for like my kind of artist is like Burning Spear. I like Burning Spear. But but certain reggae music is self-destructive. So I understand why so many white folks would like that kind of music as well because it inspires and it inspires you to do good and inspires you to do horrible things. It inspires you to have a revolutionary approach to life, and it inspires you to have a degenerate approach to life. It just depends on who you're listening to, I guess.
yeah, and even when the music, like when the black music is, bad and destructive, it justifies, oh, you see, that's the kind of people that they are. Look, they want to kill themselves, so why do they complain when we do it? So that's one aspect of it. And then the other one is that if black people or African people make the happy music, the oh, we just dancing and all that, they're like, look, however much we oppress them, they seem happy, the happy slaves.
Well, I tell you what, that a lot of the music in the Caribbean in particular, some of the music that was revolutionary,
Uh,
it used to be banned. Like how Lucky Dube, Lucky Dube is?
yeah, yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Lucky, yeah, a lot of his music was banned in South Africa. So I mean, you would only hear from artists that the government or so-called powers that be allow you to listen to. And I think that with us, we have created the so-called underground music, and they have become popular because they don't necessarily follow the normal stream of what's put out there into the hemisphere. So, a lot of people didn't know about Lucky Dubé until after the apartheid regime was over. A lot of people didn't know about many of these revolutionary kind of artists. Peter Tosh was another one who used to be very much banned. Fela Kuti, Fela Kuti was banned in Nigeria. I don't know if he was banned or not, but I know he got into a whole lot of trouble because of the kind of the music that he would put out there, and the Nigerian government really didn't like his music at all. So music inspires you, but it could go anyway. It could go anyway. It just depends on the artist, you know.
Yeah, and the power of music is also it's the power to both inspire, and it's also the power to um,
Destroy.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of people, they realize this power, and so in order to, almost get in front of it, they say, we're not going to just let it be in the hands of, random people. We are actually going to be the ones in front of defining what is. Oh, B is here. Okay, hold on. I was trying to share the screen, but yeah, habari sister Amani. Welcome. I see. You only came on once Gas had left, and Gas had Jose.
I didn't want to be tag team. Hi Tan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hi brother, how are you doing?
Shout out to Yana being the musical connoisseur. Give it to us, Yana. Give it to us.
I wish. Well, they say music is the heartbeat of life, right? So I try to just get into every and any type of music, not stuff that's like something what Sting would say. Remember back that in the day, that song is, every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you.
Yeah, that was a bit.
Yeah, that's stalker music. Stalker
Yeah,
music.
not like stuff like that. But they have like, there are so many just beautiful songs. I can't believe you ever listened to John Bon Jovi?
I can't say that
Uh,
I have.
Living on a Prayer?
oh, I
Oh,
love that song. I love that song.
that's rock and roll. That's rock and roll though. Like
I
the type of
actually love that song.
see the type of song that you were talking about with the heavy metal, and some heavy metal is like it's popping though. Some heavy metal is really nice, depending on what they're saying. Like not
Oh
to kill
God.
your
Oh
mom,
God.
kill your cat and all that. But some heavy metal music is actually cool if you listen to the words that they're saying. But if you can remember um that show that I think it was what was his name? The actor from In Living Color, Jamie Foxx, he played Ray Charles. When Ray Charles first came out, like in the late 50s, early 60s, his music was considered devil music. And so was Motown.
Is
You
that
know,
right? Is that right?
yes, yes. And so it's like a lot of songs that Stevie Wonder even made, you know, Little Richard and all that. They consider a lot of those music to be like devil music. But what came about from that genre, that beautiful soul music of the Supremes, Dinah. Can you imagine they were saying Dinah Ross and the Supremes were devil music? Oh my God, love Motown. But what came about from that is R&B. What came about from that is rock and roll, and these are beautiful songs. Some like even country music. A lot of that they tap into are also from that so-called devil music. I think the song that Dolly Parton made, I love Dolly Parton. Oh my God, I love Dolly Parton. I like country music
No
too.
country music. I like some country music.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the relationships back then when Motown was jumping, do you feel like our relationships back in the day was much better? How we related to one another? Do you feel like the community was better because of the music, or do you feel like it was worse?
Well, I feel like it was much better because You know, music, like what I said, is the heartbeat of life. It's a frequency, you know, and once they found out, they were referring to, you know, the other races of people, that music can be used as a tool. That's exactly what they did. So back then in the 60s, 50s, and even 70s, look at Jimi Hendrix, you know, wonderful, wonderful musician. Um, we were much better off as a people, as a community. But you look at someone like Bob Marley, come on, you know, we strive to do so many great things, and many of our people have achieved that. But I think after like the 90s, or it just went to hell in a handbasket, especially even when you look at where I come from, dancehall music, it's shithole music. Sorry to curse on your thing, Tan. I'm sorry. I'm so
Hey,
sorry, Tan.
Yana,
It's
Yana, not in the
absolutely
90s, sister. Not in the 90s. Not in the 90s, sis. Nah, because Buju Banton them was in the 90s. Nah, you can't say that. You can't say that shit.
No, no, as a Jamaican, let me tell you, you wasn't going to them dance hall when my cousin and them used to take me to them dance hall, and women, they were horrible how they dressed, but the music was even worse. My grandmother used to say, "This is a crosses.
No, I
Don't
can't buy
bring
that.
that." Yeah,
I can't
like,
buy that. No, I
oh
can't buy
my, the dance hall music from then compared to now, it's 100 times worse. A
Oh yeah, I
hundred.
agree with that. I agree with
Yeah.
that. No, I
But
agree
not
with
just
that. I
dance
agree.
hall, your people too. Soca music and all.
That's just
Oh,
wine of music.
Did you just call
That's
you
just wine of
you
music.
you people?
trying to throw
Huh?
everybody under the bus.
That's just wine of music. That's wine of music. That's wine of music.
Oh, okay. But I enjoy soca music too, but it's not the same. It's really not the same. We could say that
Yeah,
about
it's
all
not the same.
genres.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the same. Yeah,
But music
but
is
music
definitely.
changes. Music changes, I think, with time, and because the society changes, you know,
Yeah,
yeah, you get
that's the main
influenced by
thing.
that.
The people
Yes, yes,
change. It's
the
not
people
it's
change. Yeah,
yeah, it's the people that change, so the music has to change, you know, and unfortunately we're regressing instead of progressing. So, you know, that plays a big part too. But I love me some rock and roll. Come on now, you gotta get me some rock and roll.
rock and roll. Jeez. I don't get it. I don't. I some of the songs like you say, what's his name again?
Bon
John
Jovi.
Bon Jovi, and
Yeah.
then there was this. I like the Police. You ever had a
Oh,
Police?
yes, of
Yeah, I
course.
like the Police. Yeah, I like the
That's
Police.
Iman's husband. What's his name? That passed away. I have his record here too. Can you imagine? I have record. They make fun of me. They're like,
And
"What
you
is
old
that?"
school. You go back. You go back.
Yeah, those are the best. I have his. I can't believe I can't remember his name. But
Yeah,
yeah, the Police was they're pretty good too.
yeah.
Um,
I used to like them.
yeah. So you see, you do like rock and roll.
Well, from what no, when y'all say rock and roll, I was considering the that hard rock what time listen to that. I
Oh,
don't get
that's
it.
heavy metal. That's heavy.
That's what I call heavy metal.
Yeah, heavy metal.
That's
David
Yeah.
Bowie. That was his name. David Bowie from the
that's
Police.
Oh,
exactly. But look here,
Or
what
was that
I'm
Sting?
thinking. Yeah, this one is more of Viking metal, but you know, they talk about, and these were the things that now people are seeing in you know films, and you know that whole Loki and all of that stuff. But this is the real story behind it. You're talking about, you know, you want a good story. That's what I like about you know about metal music, is because there are many lots of stories. It's not just about love and love and love, and that's what I was trying to say earlier, that it's not that you know I'm against love. It's just that the world is far bigger than just the whole you know love thing. So you know, for me the music is like a movie. I can see a whole story behind, you know, just a few lyrics. Like if somebody is really good at writing music, you can have a, you know, like poetry creates a whole world in just a few lines. So when somebody creates, you know, you can go and watch a 2 hour movie about, you know, Loki and the Vikings and the fighting on and on and on. Or you can just listen to Amon Amarth talking about that, and it's pretty much the same thing. So when it comes to a story, there is a story. There are many stories, and that is what for me is so limited about Black and African music. It's not that I'm saying that they're not good. I like a lot of them. It's just that there's so many areas to to explore. Where if you looked at music as you looked at movies, you would see that music is also about storytelling, and it's not just one story to tell. It's myriads and myriads of stories. So they have that. The freedom. We have only known how to make music, and that was not always the case. We used to have music about everything. Like I was saying, we used to have music about work, about climbing trees, eating food. We used to have music when occasions, whether it was weddings or birthday or just social occasions. So music was not just this one dimensional thing where it's either you're talking about love or you're talking about killing or war and all this stuff. So just to give you to show you, it's like a whole story when you look at some of these songs, especially so I'm going to share the list. I am that one that the one that I was talking about earlier. So he talks about it's a whole life story, and there's one where he's like, he first started by saying that one is eternal, across the bridge, and that was also in that movie, in that whole movie, that whole bridge, that from one end to another. And this is the other thing too. There's a lot of mythology. The pre-Christian mythology that is behind it is also fascinating. It's the you can see what they were even before Christianity and religion, because religion was also something that was brought to them before. They were simply pagan worshippers, and they had their own worlds of fantasy. So I won't read the whole of it, but basically, is the story of this man beast who was locked up by the gods because he was considered to be too dangerous, and so in one of the and I collect a lot of this music in terms of its subject content, and there's a lot of references to wolves. There's a lot of references to to sometimes to vampires, but that's a whole different section of of this. But this one is more, the Viking stuff is more Fenrir. That's the wolf, the wolf man or wolf god. So he's talking about a beast am I, so vicious and grim, they fear my mean grinning teeth. I bide my time, my sweet revenge, soon my ties will fall, and finally I will be free. So and also these concepts that they sing about freedom, happiness, and all this. We have to examine all these concepts and what they mean for them and for us. When they talk about freedom, it's usually freedom, to do something, freedom from rules, freedom from, restriction, freedom from all kinds of, obstacles. Whereas, Zuli was saying earlier, freedom with discipline. I don't know what that looks like, but for them, when they talk about freedom, it's pretty much freedom to do whatever you want. Whereas for us, we didn't look at that as being free. That was just, being reckless. So whenever they talk about freedom, you also have to think what do they mean by freedom. So he bides his time, for sweet revenge. Soon the ties will fall, and finally I will be free. What do you think they're going to be free once, the grinning teeth are finally unleashed? So when you hear me howling, that's from the song, you'll know that I have come for you. When you hear me call your name, your life will end in nameless pain. I mean,
But Tan, this sounds like savage music, man. I mean, you are when I'm reading this, right? I'm thinking to myself, man, you are operating straight up. You are operating on your, what do you call it, reptilian brain. I mean, straight. I mean, it's like completely. So I don't know, I'm listening to this like this person needs to be either arrested or shot.
I was looking at that too.
Yeah, you can't let this guy out in the street. Yeah, I mean, you can't let him out on the street corner, man. He's a savage. Nah, man. Imagine what he would do to an innocent woman walking home from the grocery store. I mean, he's gonna grit his teeth and eat them. Yeah, I mean, nah.
But that's the story of the big of Red Riding Hood. You remember her? So much better to eat you.
How? Oh, I definitely agree to that, but that's something else. Tan, how long ago?
Sounds like a porno. All right.
Wow, your mind is totally in the gutter. I wasn't
Listen,
about that.
It ain't my mind, because if you think about it, sorry for cutting you off, Yola, but because if you think about it, right, I remember putting the prompt up, said like some things would women fantasize about, and one of them was werewolves, one of them was vampires. Some of the things you mentioned tonight earlier,
Oh
by the way,
yes, I
and it's
remember
interesting.
that.
It's interesting that you liking this kind of thing and reading the storyline. That's very interesting, Tan. You telling on yourself.
I remember, I think I posted that I wanted the billionaire like werewolf or something like that. That will do me just fine. But how long ago was that this song that you're reading, Tan?
I think maybe in the last, I think it was maybe, if not 5 or 6 years ago. I don't think it's that late in the game. I can look it up. But yeah, they're a recent band. They're still releasing songs, and this was like one of the best albums, in my
Oh,
opinion.
whoa.
This nothing.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah, there we go. It's actually it's a long time ago. This was one of the classics. This was in 2011. So yeah,
Oh,
11 years ago.
that's not very long ago. Well, that's special.
Yeah, no, they're still releasing. The whole Suta Rising. That's and I don't know if you can see the image right there, but that's the Norse god, and he comes with fire, and so he comes with destruction. So upon his rising, that's him with the fire. Upon his rising, he comes and destroys the world. So yeah, that's this is some of the tracks on that. That's War of the Gods. That's when the gods rose up against the Loki went and provoked the gods to rise up against the elder gods, and that's what yeah, that's what happens. You have
But I agree with you though. You said like, music is basically to me, music is that person telling their story, in 3 minutes, 7 minute span or whatever have you. And depending on the vocals or the rhythm and the frequency, whatever that comes out of their mouth, it can either move you to the left or it moves you to the right. And back when I was home in the Caribbean, all I heard was, oh my gosh, they played so much country music. I think that's why I love country music so much, you know. But they did play a little reggae too, of course. Some um, stations played more reggae than anything else. Some had like the combination of both, but majority of them they played country music. It wasn't too much dance hall music. You have to go to like the dance hall or something to really hear the foolishness, that monkey business that they do in there. But I agree with you, Tan. Music is definitely it's a shorter version of a movie, and depending on who and what you are, I think anybody can create music. Really, truly.
Yeah, and my reason for venturing beyond just the black is that in understanding people, yeah, you have to delve into those less less palatable areas, so to speak. And if you're going to look at the entirety of them, we can't just look at their history and all of that and then ignore one of the biggest areas of the expression of themselves. Even this whole idea of whether black people have souls or not, like I was saying in a different broadcast, is that there was a contention whether these pagan people, when they sent out the purple bull to go and enslave mankind, one of the justifications was that these other, non-Christian people did not have a soul, or they had, what do they call them? Half souls that had to be, filled or something like that. So it was part of the divine mission of the of the Christians, sent out by the Pope to go and capture those souls. So they've been on a soul catching mission for quite a long time, and so it's almost whether it's an irony or coincidence, that when black music is called soul music, it's almost like music for the soul, or music that captures the soul. And for me, I think that a lot of black music has been used to pacify black people, or to prevent them from actually achieving the real purpose of music. It has been for
100% agree.
yeah. So it has
I
been,
agree with that too. I agree with that too. I agree.
yeah, and made us into this subservient, docile, entertainment based people who don't really think. Music is supposed to inspire you. That was the whole, the beginning of music, to inspire people to think, to do better, to rise, to become, but our music, it strips us away from who we are, and we end up just becoming, entertainers, or we just want entertainment. And so, our music has been this magic, and magic is, I was trying to show it earlier. Let me see if I can present it. So magic is this thing that is like a veil. It puts a veil over things, so you're still seeing what you're seeing, but you're not seeing the truth behind it. Somebody's manipulating what you're seeing, so you can see, oh, oh, here's a heart, but all of a sudden, it's a rabbit comes out of it. So magic is an ancient practice rooted in sacred rituals, spiritual divinations, and or cultural lineage, with an intention to invoke, manipulate, or otherwise manifest supernatural forces, beings, or entities in the natural incarnate world. It is a categorical yet often ambiguous term which has been used to refer to beliefs and practices frequently considered separate from both religion and science. So, magic and music, it's that, it occupies this weird space between, it's not quite, it can both be secular and, uh, religious. It can be, used for various purposes. It can be sad, happy, all of this. So magic and music in that aspect also defies, the strict characterization. So, and it's a tool for manipulation to, to get into both people's emotions and, minds, without being seen to, to be either. So it's a powerful form of magic. It's something that can take you. You're being hypnotized, but you don't even know that you're under hypnosis. Unlike,
Yeah.
sight magic. Yeah.
No, no, I agree with that, and I think that that's one of the in Islam they kind of like teach you to shy away from
Mm-hmm.
listening to music, and I think that I understand the reasoning why is because you, like you were saying earlier, you become hypnotized, and the conjurer, or the so-called musician, he could create any image, any idea, he can implant it into your mind and your head
Mm-hmm.
that he wants
Yes.
to. So you got to be very careful who you listen to. Like
Yeah.
your sisters were saying earlier, the music is making a lot of people docile, and that wasn't always the case. And let me also say, it depends on what you're listening to. It depends on what you. I know you listen,
Very
because
true.
some,
Yeah.
yeah, some music can put you to sleep, and some music can make you docile, but some music can inspire you to act in a very revolutionary, productive way. So it just depends on what you're listening to. So you just got to be very careful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. And music is magic, though, Tan. It really, really is. And I think we as a people, we need to recognize that, because once you put that headphones on, or you put that music just in your ear, it transforms you. You know, they say there's nothing that's faster than the speed of light, but really and truly, there is something that's faster than the speed of light. And that's your thought. It goes faster than you turn that music on. You're anywhere. You're any place. You're anyone. So the powers that be understands that, and they know that. So that's why they put out so many low vibration and just so many just pathetic ass music these days. And like what you said, brother, you have to just really be careful what you listen to. It is really, really, yeah, you have to be careful what you listening to.
Oh, yeah, Yana, that was a gem you dropped just now. What you say? What's faster than the speed of sound? What you say? The idea? What was it just now? Say it again.
Oh, thought.
Thought. That was a gem. That was a gem you just dropped. I
Yeah.
like that. I
Oh.
like that one. Yeah.
It really is, though, when you think about it, because you you transform automatically if you just think about anything. It's faster than the speed of of any light. You automatically there. You're doing it. You are it. You just automatically transform. I do it every day.
Yeah, I watch people because we have this whole called thing called with the earplugs now, and when you put the earplugs on, you actually you are could take yourself anywhere. because of your imagination. I mean, automatically, as
Exactly.
soon as you cut it on. So I
Yeah.
dig that. I dig that. I dig that
Yeah.
very
I do
much.
it. I
Yeah.
do it every day when I wake up before I go to bed. I transform into every any little thing. Like my thoughts just
Put it on
take
a
me.
t-shirt. That's a good one.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tad.
faster than the speed of like the thought. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Maybe I should make a T-shirt about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
say
awesome.
put on a t-shirt because the subtlest magic, and magic has also two terms, two meanings also in the, well, two ways that people view it. You can, there's that amateur magic where somebody's just doing card tricks and so on and so forth, but that's the very tame version of what real magic is or real magic was. So even when you talk about imagination, and there's so many words even in the English language that talk about this magic in the word. So even English, it's a very magical, and not in a very good way, magical language, because it uses there's a lot of fantasy, imagination, illusion, delusion, utopia, all this made up imaginary words. So English is a very magic,
Tricky.
yeah, very
Tricky.
tricky
Yeah.
language. Yeah. So magic and magic tricks, we only know the magic tricks right now because those are what we see. You see somebody flipping cards and so on, which is still a little bit impressive, but the real magic is that being able to change reality, or to alter it, or to alter somebody's
Yes.
perception of reality.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
is so true. That's why I said I live it every day. I just do positive thoughts, reinforce more positive thoughts, and I'm there if I'm stressed out and I can't go to my spa. I just imagine myself at my spa and I feel better.
No, I think it's important to self-program as well. I think self-programming, because you have so many things, and when within society that kind of tries to program your mind, in particular music as well. But signs, words, like Tan was saying, the English language, if you don't think about it in a conscious way, it kind of like programs you. It's like spells. It's like spells, man. So I understand that you have to self-program continuously, like Yana B was saying. You have to talk to yourself, tell your conscious mind, what your subconscious mind should be thinking continuously, because if you
Yes.
don't do that, you're going to be negative because of all of the social influences that you encounter on a daily basis, man. So I think that it's good to self-program yourself continuously. It's good to do that.
Yes. Self-programming spirit every day. Every day. It's vital to your being, because we are creators and we're also destroyers. So you can create your own world of positivity and flourish and prosper, or you can create a world of hell and diminish. So it's up to you. Whatever your thoughts is, you have to literally reprogram your brain, your spirit, your heart every day. You really do.
I think the brain computer is a fascinating thing, and we could put into it what we wish, or we could leave out of it and have someone else put something else, some other programming into it. And I think it's the fact that we have agency. It's important for us to continuously do that. So I applaud the people that do. And you know what? When you listen to people, the level of programming that they've been indoctrinated with. You just sit down and listen, because either they pour out of you a whole lot of junk, yeah, or they pour out something that is impactful, something that is positive, something that could take you through the world. Just sit down and listen to people. They'll tell you a whole lot of things about what they've been internalizing down into self, and it'll really be a good judgment whether you should be around these people or stay away from them.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah, well said, well said. And just to reiterate the idea of magic and music. Music comes from Muse, inspiration, the Greek goddess of arts and poetry and even science. Science was not just these logical people sitting in a lab. it was actually created as a sort of inspiration, wanting to know the natural world, or nature. So even science was a form of inspiration. um, so that's where music comes from. And magic is now taking that inspiration and putting some power behind it. So where music is the power to create, magic is the power to manipulate, is the power to change, is the power to influence, and so on. So magic is like music, or the muse, when you talk about muse as inspiration, given power. So magic gives power to music. So once you put that, and not all music is magical. There's music that is simply music that is celebratory, or just making sounds and so on. So not all music is magical, but you can infuse magic into music, and that means that you're putting as almost a spell on the music, so that it is used as a form of manipulation, or mind control, or distraction, or yeah, as dissipation, especially. And this is one aspect, is it dissipates energy, especially youthful energy. When young people want to are usually the catalysts to change in society. So how do you do that? You impress upon them, and you know that they're easily impressed. So music is the surefire way of curtailing or curbing that youthful exuberance or inspiration. So once you have that, in modern occultism, and modern occultism has a very negative attitudes toward both magic and music. So music, as it's used, is not used as a form of upliftment or change. It's either harmless, or is used as a form of utter distraction. So because there's this distrust of magical powers, and magic does not necessarily have to be evil. It's just giving power to music. So whatever power you give it, whether for creation or destruction, is up to you. But in the modern occultism, and in the West, magicians practice ritual magic, and for them, it's magic is defined as a technique for bringing about change in the physical world through the force of one's will. So you're applying your power onto the world, and you actually want to change it, whether to change somebody's fate or your own. You're using techniques to almost to bend nature to your own will. So once you can do that, once you have that magic, which is the power, then you can very easily manipulate people and hordes of people. So even if you want to support certain people, which you still should, the overwhelming power behind it has created that it's as if every nearly every popular record goes through its own magicalization before it gets to the public. So by the time the public is hearing it, the spell has already been cast on the music, because that magic has already been put on it. So that's the spell, unfortunately, a lot of us are under. And it's not just the spell from white music. That's the other misconception. It's not just the rock and roll music. That spell is it's in black music, it's in music all around the world, and they're trying to make to turn all music into magic, and that evil kind of magic. So
I
yeah.
think that the biggest magic trick, I think the biggest magic trick is the changing the words. What I mean by that is the old back in the day, they used to call themselves magicians or witches, and because when you say what is a musician or a witch, it conjures an image in a particular person's mind, so they wouldn't necessarily think that a musician is a magician, or a feminist is a musician trying to send out messages to the world through her storytelling. They wouldn't think that a media programmer or a television producer is a magician, which they are, because if you look at the definition, it's changing the world via someone's will. And when you watch a television program, you are influencing the will of other individuals, and the minds of other individuals through the process of your storytelling, or creating, like implanting ideas into the minds of the consumer or the television watcher. But they're not called magicians anymore. They're called television programmers, or producers, or writers, or musical artists. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a magic trick in itself because, like I say, you wouldn't have in your mind that this person is actually a magician or a witch. You know, you wouldn't think that up. It wouldn't you wouldn't think of Aleister Crowley when you think of Jay-Z. You know, you wouldn't think of a witch when you think of Meg the Stallion. You know, but these people are impacted and influencing the world through that technique, using music to influence the minds and the wills of many, many people. But these are magicians and witches for the good and for the bad. People have to decide that for themselves. But I think that the biggest magic trick is to rebrand and image these people as something from what they actually are. And I think that that's a big magic trick in itself. But I'll stop there.
So guys, let me ask you though, 'tis the season, right? It's Christmas. Everywhere you go is Christmas tunes, music, everything is. What say you about that? Is that like bad music? Is it witchcraft music? All these Christmas songs that's playing?
Oh, boy, Hagzik, you're scared of that one? You're
No,
scared of.
no, no. I was waiting for you to go first. I was waiting for you to go first. I was waiting for you to go.
Ah, wow. Hey, you don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to. Well, like I said, music is part of every single, piece of indoctrination or, reprogramming of the mind. Even, even the most rudimentary kind of music. And I go always back to, to the military and the army because they have, perfected and shortcutted the ways of, um, you know, molding human nature into exactly what they want him or her to be. They have, perfected the techniques. It works, and even when they're marching, they always sing that song, na 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 na, do 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 do, that whole song. So even they, in every kind of indoctrination, in any kind of, cultish example, I'm not saying the army is a cult, obviously, but I'm just saying that in every kind of organization, meeting, group of people who are of a certain mindset, whether good or bad, cult or not, music always has to play that, unifying factor in protest. When people go to protest, they have, those chanting songs. Chanting is your proto music and so on. So the power of music in both unifying people, that one cannot be denied. Music is one of those few things that can actually bring people together who have nothing else in common. We talk about, what do we have in common? People can get, you can gather a crowd of hundreds, I don't know how much this has tell you, hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands of people, just on the whole basis of entertainment. There's no politics, economics, none of that. They're just there for one thing alone. So, the power of not just, amassing, human beings, but also having them in one and be in one accord. When people are listening to music, especially if they're listening to it in a group, they're the most, more mentally people, at that time. They're almost like a group of marauding, not savages because they're at least contained, but, they have, they're of one mind at that particular time anyway, when they're listening to music. So music is a very powerful force of human nature, and either the powers that be, they either control it, or they're afraid that the people will be out of control. So for the person who wants to to have a head of the people, they have to control it. And even I don't want to go too far, the other side, but even a lot of music that was created in America, the Doors and some of these people, a lot of them, if you look at it, they were actually from military families. They had CIA connections, or they had all these kinds of funny government ties and so on. So it's not something that is simply a harmless thing that somebody is there's no such thing as independent creativity anymore if something is popular. And they have infused and that's why it gets into not so much, not even the cult, but also the occult, because there's a lot of hidden things in the music that somebody can be consuming, and you don't know what else is injected into it. So the music as it stands right now, it's dangerous both in terms of its harmlessness, because it dissipates people's energy, and also in terms of its ferociousness, because it turns just people into savages. So that is the kind of savagery I was trying to show you, that we don't even have we don't know the depths of savagery and chaos and evil that these people, somebody's talking about shooting up the hood. That's nothing compared to what this white people are talking about. They talk about all kinds of super degenerate and stuff, so that we don't even need to listen to our own degeneracy if that's what you're looking for. If you want the real thing, just like with horror movies, we black people, we're not good at making horror movies. And I'm not saying we haven't, Get It was a good movie, but we're not good at making horror movies because that's just not who we are. It's just not natural for us to be doing all kinds of weird, crazy things. But that's who they are and that's what they like. But people can go and see a horror movie and you can walk out of there just saying, wow, these the people, and you're not influenced by them. So we have to be able to withstand that assault without being necessarily influenced by it. But yeah, being aware of it is one way. Being aware of the power of music and what goes behind it, that music is magic, and it's used as a form of population control. And like I said, not control in the numbers, but in terms of population, mental and psychological control. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's start wrapping up. And
Yeah, okay. Well, I would say that Christmas or this time of year is the biggest magical trick is played on people. The biggest magical trick, because the mass producers of this world have paid the mass marketers of this world, the two wizards, grand wizards, to convince them that I am only able to express love, concern, and care for the people who I concern, love, and express and care for through a tangible object that they sell. You know what I mean? They sell. And based on the kind of object that I am able to purchase, you know, the person who is receiving the gift or present will say, well, whether that I love them or if I really don't love them as much. You know what I mean? So if I buy a woman a nice fancy car, oh, he must really care for me because he bought me this on Christmas. Like it's ridiculous. But the mass marketing has created these ideas and implanted them in the minds of many of us, let alone the children, because the children are washed. They think that Santa Claus, they think the grand wizard Santa Claus is gonna come down a chimney. And I'm in the Bahamas, so we don't have chimneys in the Bahamas. But he's gonna come down a chimney,
do you have stables?
huh?
Do you have stables?
Stay like at horse places, but
Yes, you have
yeah,
those. Oh no,
yeah, yeah.
that's still good. You can be visited. Forget Santa Claus. He's only one with the elves. You can be visited
Oh,
by the.
yeah. So
No, but
it's
if I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you,
go
but
ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
if you look at it though, it's nothing but brilliant.
It's
What they
brilliant.
did.
It's brilliant. It's
If you
brilliant.
really
It's
like,
absolutely brilliant.
yeah, it's
It's game.
nothing. Yeah,
Oh man, it's brilliant.
to
It's
have
brilliant.
like to have so many people just under such a huge spell. Who thought of that idea to
It's
even
a brilliant idea.
do
It's
that?
a brilliant.
It's very sinister.
It's very extremely. It's extremely sinister, and it puts people like myself in a situation because like I don't celebrate Christmas, but people I care about do. So if I don't give a shit about it, it's like they can feel like, oh, this person don't get me because they didn't do these things to me. I'm like, give me a break. But it's very difficult to break someone out of that. It's like they've taken that red pill, and it's like you can't wake them out of that fascination or
Yeah, it's
dream.
true.
So you just have to just allow them to sleep.
Yeah,
But it is
unfortunately.
sinister. It is sinister and it is a dream. But like I say, it's the ultimate spell. Is one of the biggest spells that exists at the end of the year. Biggest spells.
It really is. But like what you said, you have to just leave people to just You know, they will probably try to kill you sometimes if you're trying to wake them up from it.
Absolutely. They would try to harm you, or they would try to kill you if you wake people up from their sleep. So you gotta let them slumber and sleep. You gotta
Yes.
leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I
That's like
must
me.
I must say though, I love some Christmas music.
I know. Because
It's
you wanted
very
them too. You wanted them
festive.
too. You wanted them too.
Yeah, I can't lie. It's very festive. Especially when I
Hypnotic,
walk into Macy's and it's just
mesmerizing.
Yeah, she wants a white Christmas. She wants a white Christmas. Yeah, so it's like yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
man,
I don't
so
celebrate Christmas either, but
oh
I
goodness.
give, like, to my kids gifts and nieces and nephews and stuff. I can't tell you
Yeah.
when was the last time we really celebrated Christmas in here. It's on a Sunday now, so we're gonna have Sunday dinner, of course, but we don't
Do you have a
celebrate
tree?
Christmas. I'm sorry?
Do you have a tree too?
Oh, heck to the no, no.
Really?
No, we haven't had a
Oh, so,
tree. My mom, I think I was probably a teenager. She threw that tree out. She never, yeah, we never had a tree since for years now. And even in my own home when I was married, we never had a tree. No.
really? So how do the kids handle that?
Well, the American children are very spoiled. So what we used to do was we would give them like three gifts that they really wanted because
Yeah.
I was one of those mothers. I was under that spell heavily. I would be out there with my Christmas fund and I'm spending thousands of dollars.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
and by the time Christmas come, they open their gifts. They have all these toys and everything, and my son would be in the corner playing with a bottle top, and I'm like, "What the hell is what is going on? You have all these toys," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm bored." So I'm like, you know what? No, we're not doing this anymore.
Because his imagination is more fascinating than
Exactly.
something Mattel could ever produce. His
So
imagination.
I just put my money away and I opened up, like, small little funds for them, trust funds and this funds and that funds. And that's what I do with my Christmas money. I don't buy anybody anything anymore. Nothing. Not even for the kids. They get nothing. Nieces and nephew, they might get one gift or, we go into a store, we pick something out, but that's it. We don't really celebrate it. But I love the Christmas music, Tan. I love it. Yes, I do. I love
Yes,
it.
yes, you should listen to The Messiah by Handel. I'm sure you've heard of it. But most people only listen to that hallelujah, hallelujah. But actually the entire, piece is actually very brilliant. It tells you talk about the story, it tells the story of, from the his, he was announced in Isaiah, for unto us a child is born, unto us a child is born. From when the child is born, the announcement, the prophecy, the discovery, the visit and all that, and then to the final, happy conclusion of hallelujah, the child is born. Yeah, but and this is the other thing, you can listen to that without being, just taken away from it. Just like you can watch a good movie, but you're going to still walk away and still know, what is real and what is not.
I
So
agree.
yeah, so you can go into it, you can enjoy the experience. For me, it's not so much the experience, I like the music. Like, they have some really good, not for me, not Christian Christmas music, but Christian music, especially those old, Catholic hymns and chants, that whole Kyrie and the Requiem and all that. Like, the Requiem is just a beautiful thing, and all these classical musicians have paid homage to it, from Verdi to Mozart. Even Brahms was an atheist. He wrote the German Requiem. So there's something still beautiful about it, and it's something that doesn't have to be true to be beautiful. And so, that was the whole, if it sounds too good,
That is true. That is true. That is true. I do, when I listen to some of the religious music, I do like and enjoy, even though I'm like, shit, Jesus Christ don't exist, But I'm saying that some of the music is still good. So I agree with that. I agree with that.
yeah. And sometimes, we have to separate, truth from, from our enjoyment. You can enjoy things. You can even, reading books. You can read a book that you disagree completely with, and that's the whole point of being a discerning human being, where somebody cannot just, grab you by your emotions and you're gone. You can stand to listen to somebody talk, and you can still have your mind about you. You can stand to listen music. Even Islamic music, there's some sublime music from, from Islamic chants, that when you just hear it, it's the most sublime thing in the world. It's the, and that's not to say that, I'm going to be donning some, face covering tomorrow. It's just, you can appreciate it, understand it, and you don't even have to understand it. You can simply appreciate it, listen to it, and get up and go. So for me, you have to be in control of the music that you listen to, not that the music that you listen to controls you. So once you're in control, you can pretty much listen to any music without falling under its spell, whatever it is, whether it's religious, whether it's Satanist, whether it's, popular music about love, or whether it's just, harmless music. So, and also you can discern when it's inspirational music that makes you want to do something, and you can say, okay, I know what this person is trying to say, I know what Lucky Dube is trying to say, and this is the appropriate response. So I think that, we shouldn't limit ourselves too much. It's not going to kill you, just like a horror movie is not going to kill you. It might scare you a little bit, but believe me, you're still going to, sleep in your bed peacefully that night. So
So,
yeah.
so Tan, when you listening to crystal, when you smoking crystal meth and listening to Megadeth with your friends, do you get, do
uh,
you
oh,
get
yeah, you don't have to take, drugs to listen to it. Just pay attention to the lyrics, and that also helps a lot. I think, most people just hear that screaming and think that's all there is to it, but there's a whole story behind it. I'll compare it this way to, and you might know about the librettos in the opera. Nobody can hear what those opera people are shouting about, but when you will go to the concert hall, they give you a libretto, which is, the lyrics, that the libretto lyrics, the words that are written down, so you can actually follow, from scene to scene. So you have, act one, or, scene one, and so on. So when the lady or the people at the front are singing, you can actually follow with your libretto, which is the words. So the same thing with death metal and all this, screaming and growling music. When, CDs, they actually had those CD inserts with, all the lyrics and the art, and that was some good times, because not only was, you could the lyrics were in there, but also they had all that, amazing art. So they employed both the words and also the artistic design. So they actually took time in designing those things. It wasn't just the sound; it was sound combined with, art, as well as poetry or lyrics. So
if
yeah.
I'm ever in California, I'm taking you to a Bear Salmon concert to let you know the real music sound like, because you have
Ooh,
been
Paris
influenced.
Hammond,
You have been
yes.
influenced
Ooh,
by
he
some
knows
people.
music.
I have to take you to a real concert. Oh my goodness.
Yes, he knows music. Time. Hey, you have to take me too. I want to go too. I
All
want
right,
to go
we'll make a
too.
day of it. Where exactly? Where was this? What the music is this? I'm going to be subjected to.
It's Paris Hammond. You never heard of
Bear
Paris
Salmon,
Hammond?
yeah.
Where is
Oh, you
how?
want to be telling about Bear Salmon? You know, you from
Oh
Jamaica, so
man, he has the sweetest voice. Him, oh yes, Paris Hammond, and he makes conscious music too. It's not like drop your panties and let's get down to business. It's just real good conscious music. It's
Just let's
beautiful.
get down to business. Do not.
And his voice is like an angel. It's beautiful. But one of the best albums I think was ever made also was from the movie, that Clint Eastwood movie, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Mhm.
Like that song, I think it was yeah, the theme song, Good, Bad, and Ugly. It had a little bit of the classical in there, a little bit of opera, a little bit of slight country. Oh my God, that music is just phenomenal. I love it.
Hmm. I've never
Yeah.
seen the movie, but I've never
No, no, you can
find the
YouTube the
sound.
song.
You know the one soundtrack which I haven't listened to it for in some years, but the soundtrack to Spawn, you know, the original Spawn, the movie with I can't remember who it was, but it was full of that was actually
With Wesley Snipes?
I think so. I think so. It was the old one, not the recent one. But they had this. They had various different new progressive rock at that time. Just you know, if I'm going to listen to the good soundtrack to the good, the bad, and the ugly. But if you get a chance, also listen to the soundtrack to Spawn. They had some really weird experimental progressive, you know, rock there, and yeah, I found it fascinating. And I even searched through the movie. Those are one of those things that I listened to the soundtrack and then I went to see the movie just so I can hear how the music was used in the movie, which I didn't think it was used very well. I think that they curtailed the music a lot, but I understand, you know, the movie's there to for the movie, not the music. But yeah, the soundtrack was so good. I actually went and saw the movie. Oh yeah, I
Uh,
think yes, I think it was Michael J. White. I don't think it was Wesley Snipes. Yeah, I think it was Michael J. White.
oh, I never even heard of him. Wow. Okay. But
Oh yeah,
there's also another soundtrack. My son, oh God bless his soul, he watches a lot of anime. And
anime
I used
is so good. Oh my goodness. See, okay, I don't want to nerd out right now. I mean, I'm not like a super anime person, so yeah, let me not get that, you know, started.
well, he loves anime and so do I. But
Okay, cool.
we've been watching Attack on Titan, and he's been into it since it first came out, and I think he should have just been an ambassador to this daggone show. No, for real, because he loved it. My son used to go around telling people,
Okay,
oh, you should
that
watch.
one is directed at you, not me. So just be clear, you know.
But that soundtrack, Tan, oh my God, that soundtrack, you should definitely go on YouTube and listen to it. That soundtrack is amazing.
The
Amazing.
the best anime soundtrack I've ever heard before. My as a matter of fact, my best anime cartoon. I don't know if y'all consider this anime. It's Cowboy Bebop.
Yes,
Yes.
Cowboy
Yeah, the
Bebop.
music, the
Yes, it is.
music, and the storyline is just awesome, man. That's just
Yes, it
awesome.
is. That's one of the best animes ever. And the soundtrack is off the hook. Oh, so you know about good stuff. Look at you.
I
Okay.
tell, I tell Todd, yes, we do read too. We are, yeah.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop is amazing. That cartoon, it's still like at the top of the top for these younger kids. They love it because that's an old anime. It's
Oh,
very old.
someone
Nah,
else just called all of you nerds. So nerds
that's all
under.
right. That's all right. That's all right. All right. All right.
Yeah, but this was a really, I love listening to your shows, Tam, because you're very informative and you do things like in real time. Even when you mess up, you're still going. And I just appreciate that about you, sister. I love that. So keep doing what you're doing. I enjoy your shows.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So yes,
I'll say good night to you too.
yes. Thank you very much
Okay.
for joining, and I always appreciate. I can't talk to myself. I can't talk by myself. So you all make it great, and it's a conversation, not a soliloquy. So I appreciate everyone who gets on and contributes. Like I said, we pray for for knowledge to share it and to receive it as well. And I also learn a whole lot when I have this. So it's good for me to I like to talk to people and hear the experiences. So we can agree, disagree. Kokou saying that you're getting shut. No, 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 no. I think this was an equally nerdy, discussion. I think that Bon Haguziki and Yonobi were out nerding each other. So, and I was just sitting over there being, the coolest person in the room.
Yes,
Cowboy Bebop is awesome. I don't know what they talking about. That's an
I
awesome
know,
cartoon.
right? I'm a proud nerd. Yes, I am. I love anime. I read manga, all of that. So, yes. Quick joke. Bitter Medicine, when I first listened to his podcast, he said his name was Koku, but I thought he said Goku. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's a Super Saiyan? Is he a Super Saiyan? But his name is really adorable.
Wow.
I was like, oh, I
That
like it.
Freudian slip.
That was funny though. Yeah.
So Goku.
From Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. So no, it's cool, and sometimes, when we talk about the subject, sometimes, the other pentagrammers come in and just, take over. Sometimes the Caribbeans come in and just take over, we chill. That's what I conversation, like, if you go visit somebody at their house, you're not going to plan, what you're going to talk about. You might have some general idea, but once a conversation starts, it just goes. So sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's just random, but every time I do, I do enjoy it. Yeah, Attack on Titan, great. Can you believe that Ezuli still says Goku?
He does say Goku. He does say Goku, but I just think that's just his accent. That's his accent.
Okay, so that's just the accent. I can't say, he can't pronunciate apparently. Yeah. WC, I'm so, programmed with that. I see that, and I'm thinking Dub C, like that whole Dub C, Dub C. Yeah, but WC, yes, we definitely need more African animation projects. I agree
I
with
agree. Yes.
100%, because when we talk about seeing ourselves, we don't see ourselves, enough in the movies. And that's one of the reasons also why I don't like to watch movies, because I know, it's either going to be some nonsense with our people there, either promoting some nonsense, either IR stuff or some weird stuff. So I don't like to watch movies where there are black people. It's not that I have anything against them. It's just I don't want to be prepared for that, for all kinds of levels of nonsense. So I'd rather not. But, the other option is just to watch it in an all-white cast, which I actually prefer, because if they're going to do stupid, crazy, immoral, degenerate stuff, I'd rather they do it than they put us there to do it. So if I'm going to watch a movie, and even if it's a cool movie, they're not all bad, but I know that there's always some nonsense behind it. But in terms of animation, this is a beautiful thing about animation. You can write your own story, you can create what you like, and you can, transcend, the limitations of acting or the theater or movies. You can create your own story, you can write and paint and all of that, and basically just, do what you want. Not to do what you want. Yeah, basically you can do what you want. You can do more with animation than with acting. Look at, we were talking about Japan with the anime and all that. Japan doesn't have a big Hollywood, scene. Then there's no Jollywood, I guess that's what it would be called. They don't have a big, movie industry. Not that they haven't made big movies, they certainly have. But the anime production has been way more, in volume, quantity, quality, and all that, than, other areas, than, let's say, the movie stars and real life action. So, we can use that as well, because your imagination, like you're saying, your imagination with anime can run wilder than you can with a human cast. So your stories can be anywhere from Mars. They can be, flying ships and giant monsters. They have a whole, mecha, that whole humans in this huge, robotic suits fighting these giant wars. You can't do that in a Hollywood production, but that's something that you can, create in animation style. So we definitely should be looking into that, into creating, our own stories and bringing them to life and to
I,
music.
I have
Yes.
one last question before I go. Do you
Mhm.
guys find it strange that the Japanese have a weird fascination with Western black culture? Because I listen to, like you say, some of the animes. You hear the jazz and the blues, and then they have a big reggae culture in Japan, and hip hop culture. I think it's a little strange for some reason. Why do Japanese like Western black culture so much? That's the strangest thing in the world to me.
Uh, I don't know too. I thought you were going to talk about the Western, their obsession with Western, images or style of,
Never mind. It was just a weird question. Don't worry about it. Don't
No,
worry
no,
about
no,
it.
no, 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 no. But there is something to that. I think that the Japanese are they reached a point where they were fascinated by everything that was other than them, that was different from them. So, they took in, the American, both the American, the white American aspect of it, and also the Black American as well. If you go to Japan, they actually have a great love for Black American music, especially the old stuff. Like if you're looking for obscure, like jazz CDs and this Black music, a lot of that, they have specialty Japanese places where that's the music that they play, and they even have karaoke. Like, it's terrible, of course, but well, that's one of the few places that they're actually preserving it. They have old country, and by country, the Black country music, and they actually sing about that. So I think that when they're it's not that their culture was destroyed. It's just that they were forced to take on drastically very different cultures. One thing that they didn't give up, though, I have to say that they didn't give up too much of their culture, of their religion, but they gave up a lot of their culture, because Japanese society, also went through a very great, change, not just in the style of clothes. Not they had to go, but they went from wearing, the old, typical Japanese attire, to wearing suits. And, nowadays they wear just suits all the time. Like the typical Japanese man is seen in a suit all the time. So they went from wearing this very flowery, intricate designs and all that, to this very severely Western idea. So that also messed with their consciousness. They had to do almost like an about turn. So they were told that foreign things or different things was the way to go. Even their idea of conducting business, they streamlined the business, and there was still the Japanese influences in it. But I think that they were fascinated with the other. So that included also Black American music, as well as Western and European, cultures and traditions. So in terms of one of the most, they're homogeneous society, so they do not welcome foreign people, but they are very welcoming and embracing of foreign ideas. So even when you look at, even Full Metal Alchemist, that stuff is full of, from Greek philosophy to
Yes.
Arabic scholarship to, even African, Chinese Shinto magic, all of that stuff in that just one thing. So they incorporated a lot of knowledge. Attack on Titan has everything, from biblical to German philosophy to Japanese mythology. So much stuff put in there. So when you see the world building, it's full of all these different aspects of it, and it just creates. And there was one, what was it? Not pilot, not Parasite. There was one about this group of Japanese, outlaws who were, just assassins in this. I'll find it. Sometimes I remember the story far more than I remember the title. But there was this. It was like a bunch of assassin renegades in this town where there was just no laws, and they borrowed everything from Adam Smith to Descartes, and it's just a simple show about people killing each other, but the philosophical underpinnings of it is very, very deep, and it's also good to also learn a little bit about Japanese mythology, because it's also a lot of that infused into their anime. So animation is a way to not just take in new ideas and concepts, but also to explore the current ones that you have. So yeah,
I
that's
think
my way
it's
of
I think it's
idea.
very good. I think sorry for interrupting you, time.
No, no, no,
I
no,
think
no.
it's I think it's very good that they take the best ideas in the world and try to incorporate it as they could into their culture. You shouldn't, like I say, you can't take a European jacket and put it on and put it on a Japanese, which they have, but you could take the best ideas in the world and see what works for your society and try to move your society forward by taking the best ideas in the world. And I think that that's one of the things that we should do. But I think that so far we as a community, we usually take the worst ideas, the armpit ideas of the society, and try to incorporate it into our society. And I think that we do the opposite. And I think that that's our. I think that we should really renegotiate that kind of situation.
Absolutely.
To piggyback off of what Tan was saying, but back to you, brother. That was a really good question. Actually, it wasn't like a weird question. It was really good. And Tan, you broke it down like so well. I really, wow, Tan, you're really good. But All right, sis. But that show, Full Metal Alchemy, is a wicked good show. Oh my God, I can't believe you know about
I gotta
that.
watch it now. I never saw it. I gotta watch it
Yes,
now. I gotta. What's it
that
called? What's it
show
called? Full Metal
is
what? Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemy. You can
Okay, Full
have
Metal.
the cartoon, not cartoon, the anime part, or you can do. They have one on Netflix where it's like a real movie or whatever, but it's wickedly good, so
Okay,
good.
I gotta
Yeah,
watch it now. I gotta watch
yeah,
it now.
it's amazing. My shout out to my son. He put me on to all of these. But piggybacking off of what Tan was saying, you can look into the Koreans with K drama, which I love. I watch K drama, yes I do, and I love my K pop also. So they really embrace all aspects of the different types of culture, especially Black culture. When I would watch K drama and I have to read, you know, the what do you call it, that I'm trying to see what's going on with the show, they have nothing but like Black dialogues in it, and they have the culture as far as the hip hop music playing. They have the style of clothes that they wear, and a lot of K dramas are particularly for influencing the younger generation. The younger generation love hip hop. They love Caribbean music, rap, reggae music, and all of that. So they institutionalize with all of that, but they put those things in because it's a younger generation and they appreciate it. Unlike us, not all of us, but many of us don't appreciate our culture. We don't respect it. We don't love it. We don't enjoy whatever it is, while others take it, adapt to it, flip it, rebrand it, and run with it. And it's a beautiful thing, especially when I see other people in such far places that's really, really into what a lot of our stuff is that we're trying to change or throw away. And it sometimes it brings tears to my eyes, but at other times I feel good because I'm like, hey, that came from us. So that was a really good question, though, Brother Bakari. That was.
Yes, Brother Bakari. Bwana Haguziki. But yeah, that was
Oh, I'm sorry. I said
Oh,
one.
no worries. No worries. We won. We won. We formed like Voltron. He wouldn't mind. He wouldn't mind. Don't worry about it.
My bad.
Brother Bakari. See, she's conjuring you. She wants you to show your face, but yeah, he was here earlier. So yeah, there's a lot. We have to be able to take in ideas and use them. We shouldn't be afraid of, oh, this came from here and so on. Firstly, you're secure in your where you come from, and you have a good foundation of your Africanness, because, and when we go out with this fear and trepidation, and this worship of other people, like, oh, theirs is better than us. No, you just take ideas, you make them yours, but you always remember why you're doing it. You're not just going out there to make a film. You're actually going to make African animation, where you seeing that through a child's eyes or through an African's eyes. What is somebody going to see? When they see this, are they going to be challenged mentally? Are they going to be inspired? Is it going to put that power in them? Because that's what magic is. That's what it does. It gives you that imagination. It makes your mind frees your mind, but it also empowers you if you do it right. So we definitely need animation projects where we can create things in our own images and present them to our children, not just show them what other people have done, and that's what they can aspire to. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And to wrap it up with the music and the magic, it's that's why Christmas is not just about presents, which the wise men, the magi or magi, we used to call them the magi, but apparently it's called magi. So the wise men who came from the east, and they came to bring the presents to, I don't know why you'd bring France and Myrrh and all those that we stuff to a little baby, but I guess that was those were the times. So they brought the magic, and in that they almost brought him the power, because before like we're talking about, I'll try to wrap this up next week, and tie it to the whole cultish thing. But cults, their power is in mystery, in in on authority, and in magic. So magic is also very cultish, because it's also it relates to that. So once you have the mystery, so the birth of Jesus, that whole surrounding thing, circus, stables and all that, that's the mystery. But the power comes from the magi. They were the ones who bring the magic, and then they imbue the baby with that power of magic. So the magic is very important in traditional Christian, in that mythology story. And it's also accompanied by music. When they say that when the angels sang in the heavens and so on, that is to accompany that magic. So magic, music, and the beginnings of the eternal manipulations. So, and they brought the three gifts, always, in terms of three. So the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Yeah. So, when you watch FMA, you'll also, get some of these references as well. They include, biblical references. They include, you might want to brush up a bit on your, on your Shintoism, on a bit of, they even have, Kabbalah there, with the tree of life, and so on. And so, yeah, alchemy was what the scientists, the European scientists, were trying to do for a long time. Even Newton was trying to figure out the secret of alchemy, which was turning, they said, base metals into noble ones. So trying to turn lead into gold, for example. But they did a lot of other things in that worship. But similar to what the definition of magic was, is taking, taking that mystery and, using your power over it to change the physical structure of man. So that includes man's fate and the fate of other people, and the solid matter as well. So yeah, that's what magicians try to do, either to deceive you. Nowadays they simply just try to deceive, but in the old days they actually sought to change reality, not just to deceive your perception of it. But they still do both. They still do both, change your perception of reality, but the alchemists and the powerful magicians sought to actually control nature. So, yes. All right. Yeah. Let's now really start closing out, because man, we'll be here for another 10 hours if you're not careful. So what do you have to say? Just a few thoughts to ponder. For next week. I don't know if we might continue with this subject, or I might just come up with continue on a whole different one. But so magic, music, magic, which includes imagination and manipulation. Yes.
Oh, this has been a good. You know, you could go. You could go before me. Go ahead, sister.
Um, I just wanted to say music is the heartbeat. Music is basically the heartbeat of life. Whether it's magic or manipulation, it's still frequency. It's up to you, like what Tan said. You control the music. You don't allow the music to control you. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, for me, it's this time. This has been, once again. This has been a very good build. You know, besides you talking without having any periods, you've been very informative, extremely informative as usual. I'm gonna look up that Full Metal Alchemist thing tonight to see if I could find that. That's something that I really didn't know about. So
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna
actually
take a
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. There was the original FABS, but the one I think the
full.
latest. But if you sort of type Full Metal Alchemist, whichever one that you find is still going to be pretty good. There was some discussions about one season that, anyway, just yeah, you'll find it.
Don't be self conscious. Don't be self conscious. But yeah. So I'm gonna take a look at that later, and hopefully it'll be something that I can grow from. But I'm gonna take a look at it later. But it's like I said, it's been an awesome show. You've been a very good host guest, and you've presented a whole lot of things for us to think on and think about. So you've been very, very good. So I appreciate you too. I appreciate the ladies when y'all doing y'all thing. Like I say, we usually take on the second shift of the Black Pentagrammers. After they go, we go. We usually go. I don't know why Bitter Meds is in the chat because he should have been on the show tonight, quarterbacking. But if you've been very good, and I appreciate y'all guys. Okay, so y'all have a great night.
Oh, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of you and to everyone who joined. Thank you all. Kokou, Dead and Talk, WC, My Related Goddess. We had, and obviously thank you to the Black Pentagrammers, Gas them up, and Jose. And Ezuli was here too. So thank you, Ezuli. You should come on next time. But yes, Kokou is saying Lola at Bonahanguziki. So yes, thank you all for being here and for helping to have a wonderful discussion, and I hope to see you all on the next one, probably tomorrow somewhere. So thank you all for joining, and before we close out, as we always do, with a prayer of gratitude this time to the ancestors for giving us a good conversation full of insight, wisdom. We learned a lot from each other, and we shared a lot. So thank you all, and have a wonderful weekday and whatever time. So asante sana and kwaheri.